What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of the evolution of Sports Talk Television. It's the Sports Web on a happy
Hump Day
edition. How do we start off this show? As you know them, you love them, you got to have them. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. Former NFL quarterback Seneca Wallace will be back in the building talking what else? Quarterbacks. I love to talk quarterbacks, especially the one here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. At 9:30, we will have Ryan Neal, newest sports analyst here of Amped Up Sports, talking about LSU. Want to get his Saints thoughts. And then we will have Tampa Bay Ray Kennedy about 9:45, 10 o'clock, and we will take your phone calls. I don't have it up right now because we're not going to take any phone calls right now. We're not going to take any questions. We're just going to talk with you. But, of course, as always, you know the number. You love the number. You need the number. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So, without further ado, of course, coming off that 51-27 shellacking of the Saints. Happy Victory Hump Day, Happy Victory Monday, Happy Victory Tuesday, Happy Victory all week as the Bucs prepare for the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get my co-host on. Here we go. From a coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions, Amped Up Sports, a busy man covering USF, covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, now covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's go out to Mr. Leo Haggerty. Leo, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing tonight? Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Well, just got done my class out at the University of Tampa. Well, we had it canceled for 2 weeks because of the hurricanes that came in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing pretty well, Peter. And I'll tell you what, I'm still a little miffed, perplexed.
Listen to you using SAT words already, my friend.
Well, I cannot believe that the Kirby Smart situation is just being, dusted under the rug.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it. I saw it. I mean, it's not Woody Hayes, but it's darn close.
Yeah, it's not a good situation. It's not a good optic. I want to talk to this guy right here, former NFL quarterback of course, the Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers, even played some wide receiver. All the research I was doing on this man right here, we've had him on the show before. Seneca Wallace, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. And let's start out right there with Kirby Smart. You saw that situation. How do you think that needs to be handled? I mean, you've been a college football quarterback at Iowa State.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I have not followed or heard anything about the Kirby Smart situation. Please refresh me so I can know a little bit more about it.
Well, Leo, go ahead and do that, man, because you saw the actions on the sideline there with Kirby Smart. So go ahead and break it down.
What happened is the Mississippi State quarterback got ran out of bounds, and Kirby Smart shoves him. And in the post-game press conference, somebody said, well, you shoved the quarterback. I said, no, I didn't. And he said he didn't even realize he was trying to get at the defensive coordinator. And I said, that's a little stiff for me. But, he doesn't really haze it, but he actually shoves the kid. So that's what happened.
I'm looking at it now, man. And I think, especially if Kirby Smart, someone of that magnitude, to put his hands on another player. And we all know how that goes. As a head coach, you cannot put your hands, especially on a national televised game, on another player from opposing team, let alone a player of your own magnitude. So that's a bad look for Georgia, man. Just to be honest with you, it's going to be something that they're going to be talking about. And unfortunately, it's going to be a huge distraction to the team.
It is. It's one of the many distractions of that team, but that program's been able to win national championships after national championship. With that being said, you're a quarterback in the league. Let's talk quarterbacks. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield. 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Had 3 interceptions on Sunday versus the Saints. A little bit of a hiccup, but besides that, I believe he's playing at an MVP level. Talk about Baker Mayfield and what he's done for the Bucs so far this year.
Man, when he came out and ended up getting drafted to the Cleveland Browns, he was somebody that I kind of looked at because they had a whole record of drafting guys, Johnny Manziel and these other guys, and bringing them to Cleveland. And I'm thinking in my mind, like, Baker Mayfield's going to be another one of these guys that's going to fall into the trap of the Cleveland Browns. And unfortunately, it didn't go as well as he wanted to in Cleveland. And he got another opportunity with the Rams and another opportunity with the Carolina Panthers. And then start thinking about, where is this kid going to land? And he ends up landing in Tampa, resurrecting his career. But it says a lot about what kind of player he is. He's a player that obviously was a walk-on when he was in college, had to go through a whole lot, and it shows his level of resiliency. And I couldn't be more happy for him to be able to get this opportunity, get paid again there in Tampa, and to be playing at a high level in which he is right now. And he has Tampa Bay in a really good position in their division.
Yeah, he definitely does, especially at 4-2 right now, facing the Baltimore Ravens and another quarterback in Lamar Jackson. What do you see with this man? Because already a 2-time MVP, can do it all. Throw from the pocket, also is mobile. I mean, what kind of matchup is this on Monday night versus the Bucs?
It's going to be one that everybody's going to grab their popcorn and watch this game. I mean, Lamar Jackson is a guy who has transcended the game. We all know about his athletic ability. What I love the fact is he kind of changed his game over the last few years because he knew the way he was playing, he was going to have to be able to win the game from inside the pocket as well. And he's kind of turned himself into an NFL quarterback. And I love that about him. I mean, obviously they add Derrick Henry, and now they got the 1-2 punch of both of them, and him be able to throw the ball from outside the pocket. He's dangerous. And we already know that. That's why he was, 2-time MVP. But this matchup against Tampa Bay is going to be one that everybody's going to be watching because just how Tampa Bay's playing right now, offensively and defensively, and going up against a hot Baltimore Ravens team right now who's been doing some things really, really well after some hiccups early.
Senator, I'm going to ask you a question, and this is kind of personal, but you were a multi-dimensional quarterback before multi-dimensional quarterbacks were in vogue. Do you kind of wish you were playing now?
Do I? Come on, Lee. Look, here's the thing. I'm very happy to be able to be a player that kind of helped transcend the game a little bit to where it is now. Yes, do I wish I was playing in this era of football? One, they're throwing money out left and right to players. So that would have been a good thing. But at the same time, to be able to look back on how my career went, it went that way for a reason. And maybe it was to open up doors for players like Lamar Jackson, to open up doors for these other Tuas and other quarterbacks that are playing right now in the National Football League. So, I'm not bitter about the fact of this era and missing out on a great opportunity. I'm thankful for the fact of, being able to get an opportunity to play in the West Coast system early, learn from one of the greatest to ever do it in Mike Holmgren, and play with some really great players during my time.
You played in Seattle. I have never been to a stadium as loud as that stadium. And I couldn't figure out why till I got there. Over basically the entirety of the stands. So when the goes up, it just bounces and comes back down. I tell you what a fan base out there for the season.
I love them, man. I mean, it's one of the best fan bases in National Football League, man. I mean, for you to be able to get an opportunity, we played a game against the Giants one night where they had 11 or 12 false starts. And that just shows you how loud the stadium gets, how well the fan base is up there. And this was early on. This is before the Legion of Boom, and this is before us getting an opportunity to play in the Super Bowl. So it's a great atmosphere, great fans, of course. Like I said, the weather is always magically usually pretty well throughout the season. You don't see them playing in any snow games or any heavy rain games. So People kind of think Seattle and bad weather, but it's no better place to play football than Seattle.
What's the situation with Tua? Because that's been very controversial. A lot of coaches, commentators have come out and said, listen, this guy needs to worry about his overall health instead of football.
Right.
Seneca, where do you stand on it? You've seen it. You've seen him get hurt. You've seen the concussion, a really scary situation there. What do you think Tua should do? And what would you do if you were in his place and you were dealing with some of the issues that he's dealing with right now?
Man, it's hard. Thank God he got the opportunity to get paid when he did, number one. And number two, if I was in his situation, I would definitely have to think very hard and long about trying to continue my career in the National Football League. I think for myself, if I was in his shoes, I would probably, after thinking hard and long about it, I would probably step away and dedicate my time to the organization that gave me the opportunity. Because he wouldn't be in this situation without the Miami Dolphins and obviously them paying him when they did, knowing his history with concussions, right? And so, the organization had to think about that as well, because is he going to be available when they need him? And for Tua in that situation, you have to sit this one out. We've seen the history of individuals getting concussions and the long-term effects that come along with it. So I think he's going to probably think about this situation a little bit longer. Hopefully he does not step back on the field no time soon, but you got to let that brain heal. And I think, any right person, depending on how the contract is constructed, he might try to dedicate his time to try to help the organization out in the long run financially.
It's a great point.
Yeah. Peter, let me jump in here real quick.
Yeah, Leo, go for
Seneca, it. You and I get together every summer, and you basically run at least 2 and sometimes 3 quarterback, receiver, defensive back camps with a sports national. How nice is it for you to be able to impart that knowledge on the next generation of quarterbacks coming up?
And that's what I love. Like I said, Leo, that's how we started our relationship, right? Almost 10 years ago. And to be able to be part of helping some of these kids that come to our camps each and every year. And you know this, Leo, we've seen some of these kids kind of grow through this whole process over the last 8 to 10 years. And is everyone going to be able to go on to college and be a college quarterback? No. But at the same time, it's helping them. The game of football teaches us so much about life, and that's what I love about it. And if I can share any impactful thing that might have happened to me along my journey in the National Football League or college, or as a franchise owner with Wingstop, or just in society alone, just share some of the things that the trials and tribulations that I went through, because you got to deal with success when you're playing in any sport. You got to deal with failure. And those are all life lessons that we all got to go through at some point. So for me to be able to kind of help articulate that to the next athlete, that's what I love. And that's what makes me keep coming back.
Now, listen,
I got to jump in for one more here.
Yes.
The Cyclones got it rolling out there, big dog. One of our Tampa Bay people, Anthony Beck, his son's the QB out there.
You see it.
What's going on out there with the Cyclones?
Man, you know what? That's why I'm wearing this hoodie right now. You see it right here on the screen. Iowa State, man, I think we've hit our stride. Obviously, no knock to us. We haven't really played, besides Iowa, we haven't played that really impactful game yet. We beat Houston. We beat West Virginia. We beat Baylor. But we're going to come to a point where we're going to have to play one of those big Kansas States. And obviously UT is out of there. Oklahoma's out of there. But right now we're taking advantage of every opportunity every time we step on the field. And Rocco right now is playing tremendous football. They're playing great defense. They're playing great on special teams. And they're coming up big in meaningful moments. So Iowa State right now, you got to watch us, baby, because down the stretch, I think we're going to make some noise, and hopefully we can be representing in the Big 12 championship.
Love it. We're on with former NFL quarterback Mr. Seneca Wallace, played for the Cleveland Browns, Green Bay Packers, of course, Seattle there. We got Leo Haggerty. I'm your host, Peter Blake. There's another guy in here who's also my co-host who we haven't heard from in a little bit. Let's go out to him. Here we go. And the reason why I go out to him, Seneca, he's a big-time Bears fan. And I know the first question he's going to have for you is going to be about Caleb Williams. Is that not correct, Mr. Harry the Greek?
What's happening, gentlemen?
Greek. Yes.
Seneca, how you doing? Leo, Peter, how's everybody doing?
Doing great, buddy. We missed
Doing
you.
well.
So go ahead and ask him the question that I know you want to ask him about Caleb Williams here.
Why do I even have to ask the question? He's QB1. He's a generational talent. The kid's got all the attributes. And you know what? Behind that god-awful offensive line, he's taking the team to 4-2. And he's playing really good football. He's learning, and he's actually, man, Seneca, honest to God, man, have you seen a quarterback come out of college at 21 years old to be able to run and throw that football on the run as accurate as this young man has?
Well, the only other one that I could compare him to is Jay Daniels. I mean, both of these quarterbacks right now, as young as they are, as elusive as they are, to have the arm talent that they bring to the table, to have the poise and the confidence to do what they're doing in the National Football League right now speaks a lot of volume about who these individuals are, right? You got Caleb Williams, who is an ex-Heisman winner. You got Jaden Daniels, who was the Heisman winner from last year. And both of these guys have gotten the stage with the Commanders and the Chicago Bears and got them in great positions right now down the stretch or in the mid part of the season. So both of those guys, man, the sky's the limit. If they could continue on the trajectory and not hit that rookie wall, we could see both of these guys for Rookie of the Year, obviously.
Well, without question, the only thing that's different in my opinion, between the two quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels is he's a better athlete when it comes to running the football. Caleb's got a really good pocket presence, I've noticed. He scrambles, he tries to make time. I mean, he doesn't have the wheels that Jaden Daniels has, but man, that arm talent, I'll tell you what, and the way he's reading off of different defenders, I mean, it's just really something. Being a Bear fan, trust me when I tell you, it's something that I haven't seen since, and I'll be honest with you, since my boy Jay Cutler. Cuddy himself, man, he could throw.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, he's taken both of these franchises that have been in a situation with the quarterback position for a long time. Right. I mean, we know what the Chicago Bears and the things they had to go through. We know what the Commanders have gone through from the quarterback position. So for them to take and put the city on their back right now and play at the level that they're playing at. And I agree with you. Yes. Jaden Daniels, to me, is a more polished, I would say, quarterback. I feel like Caleb Williams is a polished quarterback, but it's a different type of look. It's a different style. He could be very careless with the ball, so we got to watch that at times. But you don't want to strip him of what he's done to get him in this position, right? Yep. And I think they're handling him in the right fashion. They surrounded him with great talent, right? And obviously with Jay Daniels doing the same thing. So for both of these quarterbacks, I think right now to not really bruise them in any way mentally and physically, I think right now they're doing the right thing to help them cultivate into great quarterbacks for a long time to come.
Talk about from
you were in Green Bay.
Yeah, Leo.
You were in Green Bay.
Yes, he was.
With Aaron
2013.
Now, Aaron Rodgers sat for a couple years, maybe even 3 years behind Brett Favre.
Mm-hmm.
Now these guys are coming out and they're getting thrown into the fire right away.
Right.
When you see that happening, you can really do more damage to a quarterback by putting him in a situation. Now we're seeing, though, with Daniels and Williams, because they're multi-dimensional guys, they can do things with their legs. That helps them out a little bit, though, doesn't it?
Well, here's the thing, though, Leo. I mean, you got to look at the situations, right? Let's just take Bryce Young, for example, right? This is a kid who got drafted to Carolina, was the number 1 overall pick or first pick for Carolina, but he's in a situation where they didn't surround him with the right supporting cast, right? If he put him maybe in Chicago Bears uniform, maybe you put him in a Commanders uniform, we're talking a different situation. Maybe he's not being benched so early. But the thing is that these quarterbacks are being thrown in the fire early because we don't have the large amounts of money that they're signing for when they're coming out. So you're going to see the Wilsons of the New York Jets get thrown into the fire. If it doesn't pan out, okay, we trade them, we get rid of them. And we've seen that over the last couple of years in this trend and this new wave of how they're actually throwing these quarterbacks into the fire. I don't have 60 million tied up in Aaron Rodgers like I did. So I got to make sure he's ready to play. Now, obviously, he was playing behind the Hall of Fame quarterback. But these other teams, they don't have any other quarterbacks. And if you're starting to see the trend, there's not a lot of sustainability in these quarterbacks that were faces of their franchise for a long time playing. We have a lot of guys right now who are in positions that were backups, who were starters for teams. And so if I get a Caleb Williams or a Jaden Daniels, and I really don't have anybody solidified, and I'm only paying them, a signing bonus of $10, $12 million, I'm making them play early. You got these young mindsets, OCs who are young, Cliff Kingsbury over there in Commanders. I don't know who the OC is with the Bears, but these guys are getting thrown in the fire early. And I don't think it's hurting the game. I just think you got to get them put in the right situation, unlike what happened in Carolina.
And it's Shane Waldron there with the Chicago Bears, Seneca. Yeah. From your personal experience.
Matter of fact, he's from Seattle.
Yes, he is.
Yes, that's right.
That's
right.
Seneca.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yes. So, Seneca, from your personal experience, what is the toughest transition for our young quarterback to make in the NFL, in your opinion?
You know what? I think there's two things: the speed of the game, and the level of consistency that you have to bring each and every day. The speed of the game is totally different. That was one thing I had to get used to. Obviously being consistent week in and week out, and then obviously understanding the nuances of a playbook, right? These kids are coming from a very small playbook that they have to digest to a big playbook. And that could be hard on a lot of quarterbacks. And that's why I said, you got to have the right OC. You got the right quarterback coach in his ear, making sure you're keeping him even keeled over an 18-week period. Because the football season is very long, and there's going to be highs and lows throughout the football season. And it's just a matter of how they can handle that. I mean, we know Caleb Williams is going to get hit in the mouth a couple times throughout the season. We know Jaden Daniels. We know all these quarterbacks are going to take these hits. I got to protect them. I got to make sure I protect them mentally and physically so they can be able to see throughout the whole season.
Who are some of the quarterbacks that you watch? I mean, besides the young guys, is it Pat Mahomes? Is it Josh Allen? Who is it for you that makes you want to turn on that television and watch them? Russell Wilson, maybe. Here's a guy who may get a shot with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I'd love his opinion on that. I mean, how do you do that to Justin Fields? I mean, seriously, I understand he's a little dinged up, but really?
Right. I don't make the change. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. I think right now, obviously, yes, could they be a little bit more sexier offensively, but they're winning ball games. And that's pretty much what the Pittsburgh Steelers have been about since Ben Roethlisberger left. Even during his tenure there, they would win very ugly games because why? They play collectively, defensively with Mike Tomlin and his philosophy. They're going to run the ball. We know once it starts to get cold what they're going to do. And that's kind of how the Pittsburgh Steelers have been built. Do I make the change? No. I think the young, fresh legs of Justin Fields give them a higher ceiling. I think Russell's mental game might help them to be able to push the football down the field. But that's remained to be seen because we didn't see it with Denver that much. He looked bad at times with the Denver Broncos. So I don't make the change. For me, I don't make the change for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I ride it out with Justin Fields until things start to go south. As far as the quarterbacks, Richardson with the Indianapolis Colts. I love to see him play. Obviously, he's out right now. Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow, we know that. There's some things where sometimes you want to see what these other quarterbacks can do. We talked about Baker Mayfield. Of course, I love to see him play. I wanted to see more out of Trevor Lawrence after I was there with the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm just not seeing it. Obviously, Tua is banged up, so now he's out. Pat Mahomes is must-see TV. We're going to watch him. We know Brock Purdy's going to do what he does with San Francisco. It's not going to be anything sexy, but he's going to get the ball out and get it to his playmakers. So there's not a lot. Kyler Murray, yeah, he makes the game fun, but we never know what Kyler Murray is going to show up week in and week out. So it's the nuances. It's the new generation of quarterbacks that we want to turn the TV on and see what they do week in and week out.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And then you got the other generation there with Aaron Rodgers still trying to hang on.
Right.
Hang on, Pete. I just read. I don't know if anybody's seen this or not. They just announced in 2036 that Jordan Love's going to be a New York Jet.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, and he got his favorite weapon there in Devontae Adams. So do you think Rodgers can turn it around? Because it seems like, listen, he's up there in age, right, Seneca? The body's not there. The arm, he's got a little bit of juice there. But it also comes down to weapons. Do you think Devontae Adams helps him turn that Jets offense around? Or once again, does it come down to Rodgers' age, offensive line? I mean, what does it come down? Is it coaching? Because they fired their coach? What is it?
It totally comes down to Aaron Rodgers and his age. I mean, we could sit here and talk about it till we're black and blue. I've been in the position before. He's not going to want – I'm just thinking of the rain game against Denver. I know in the back of his mind, he's like, man, I don't want to be out in this crap. I don't want to be getting hit. I don't really want to be doing this. And I understand it. I think he's up there, and it's the recovery time that comes along with it. Can he mentally still play? Absolutely. But you got to do it week in and week out over and over again. And if you don't have those key pieces that make your job easy, starting up front with Tyron Smith, who's given up sacks left and right at the left tackle spot, he's up there in age. And so, yeah, you add a Devontae Adams to be able to give him a sense of like, hey, this is how it used to be when we were Green Bay, but this isn't Green Bay anymore. And you're not the Aaron Rodgers as you were 4 or 5 years ago. So do I think they give he gives him a spark? Of course, I think so. But is it enough to be able to get them into the playoffs? Everybody wants the story of the Jets. We all want the story of Aaron Rodgers, and hopefully it does happen where they can go on a run and be able to get into the playoffs. But I just don't see it. I think that it's going to come down to him being able to stay healthy down the stretch, and he's already out there limping. And I just don't know if it's going to happen for the next, 14 weeks of the season.
First to win a Super Bowl, Josh Allen with Amari Cooper and the weapons that he has, or Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals, and why?
Oh man, Joe Burrow or Josh Allen? I mean, that's a great question. It really is. It's going to be hard. I don't know.
How do you beat Kansas City?
I don't know if Joe Burrow and Chase can make it back. I just don't know. I think their window of opportunity, it closed and it closed fast. Usually you have maybe a year or two to be able to make it back. I haven't seen enough of Cincinnati this year. And quite frankly, even with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I don't know if I've seen enough, because obviously they went out to go get Amari Cooper because they felt they didn't have enough offensively. And so I don't know if either one of those teams, but if I had to pick one, I would love to see Josh Allen. I mean, when you ask the question to someone who I forgot about Jordan Love, I forgot about Josh Allen. I mean, obviously, think about the Houston Texans and what they're doing with their quarterback.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great quarterbacks out there, young quarterbacks that are playing at a high level. But if I had to pick one, I'm going with I got to go with the Buffalo Bills and adding Amari Cooper and just the story behind it. If they can resurrect their season and be on the upward trend to maybe make it into the Super Bowl.
Great stuff, guys.
You know what, Seneca? I'm going to ask you the big question, all right?
Ask it.
Can we get you on once or twice a month to do this? I mean, this is fabulous.
Man, look, you guys got me. Like I said, I love the fireworks going on behind me. I would love to be on to be able to support what you guys are doing. And Leo, you know this. It's the football season for me is getting ready to wind down, so I'm going to be a little bit more flexible. But this is a great night. If it's every Wednesday, I think it is every Wednesday night, I can make it on the show. I love to talk football and talk everything else about quarterbacking, offensive line, receivers, whatever we need to talk about, I'd love to join you guys.
Hey, you're definitely invited on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television at 9 o'clock. I got one final question for you, Seneca.
Let's go.
The Bucks rushed for 277 yards of rushing. They always say a best friend to a quarterback to take the pressure off is the running game. Kind of
And a tight end.
Well, yeah, and the tight end, but the running game itself, they are smart ass. A quarterback, how much does a quarterback appreciate not only the offensive line, but the running game itself?
Now, let me tell you this. When we went to the Super Bowl, when I was with Seattle, we had a running back by the name of Sean Alexander. We had a fullback by the name of Max Strong. Obviously, our quarterback was Matt Hasselbeck. Our left tackle was Walter Jones.
Yes.
Our left guard was Steve Hutchinson. We had a prolific offensive line, and that year we had the leading rusher in the National Football League in Sean Alexander. Matt Hasselbeck had his best career, best season of his career, and all of that goes back to the offensive line. If you go back and you look and you look at the history of most teams that have made it to the Super Bowl, they had a very good running game, and you have to have it down the stretch. There's going to be so much film that's out there on all these quarterbacks. You got to be able to run the football and try to be as balanced as possible. And what Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have right now, to be able to run the ball, and especially if we're talking all these young quarterbacks in the league, you got to stay as balanced as possible. I don't want Caleb Williams trying to drop back and throw the ball 50 times. We have Swift. That's why we went out and got him, right? And it's the same thing with the rest of the quarterbacks. Jaden Daniels, I have to have a good running game to be able to take some of that pressure off him to where he doesn't feel like Peyton Manning did for, 10 years of his career, trying to drop back and win games for him throwing the ball.
Love it. Good stuff.
I got one question for him.
I got to ask you this one question.
Come on.
You were in Seattle and played the Steelers in the Super Bowl, and that had to be the worst officiated game I've ever seen.
Awful.
Mike Holmgren comes out the day after out in Seattle and says, we didn't mind having to play Seattle. We just didn't think we had to play 6 officials as well and didn't get fined. That was phenomenal to me, that it was like the referee said, okay, Pittsburgh's got to win this game. Did you guys feel that way after watching the film?
Absolutely. I mean, and you could go back in history, tell you right now that the ref came out and that he pretty much got paid to blow that game for us. You got to look at it. We had 2 offensive PIs on Darrell Jackson. I think the other one was on Jeremy Stevens that wiped out 14 points, right? We get Ben Roethlisberger had the worst QBR of any quarterback in the Super Bowl era, and they end up beating us. And obviously we were in the backyard of Jerome Bettis' hometown. And we had the Rolling Stones playing at a halftime show. It was the worst Super Bowl that I've been. It was snowing in Detroit. It was just all around bad. And for us to get hosed in the magnitude that we did by the refs, it just sucks. But I do got my NFC Championship ring hanging up right here in my office.
Go ahead, Harry.
Seneca,
Bring it.
as long as you've been in the NFL, have you ever seen a team play their own division? Like, for instance, in the NFC North, the Chicago Bears are playing their first divisional opponent in Week 11. So their final from Week 11 to Week 18, you've got 6 of your last 8 games against your divisional opponents. Have you ever seen anything like that? What is the NFL thinking?
I've never seen it to that magnitude, but I know when I was working with Dallas, and we've seen this on record, they'll play Giants, Commanders, Giants, and then Philly. I did see that at one point, and
That's sick.
It's sick. I mean, and obviously, if you go back to Tony Romo and his time, heck, there was about 2 or 3 years in a row where they had to beat the Commanders in order to get into the playoffs. And I mean, it was right down to the wire. And so I haven't seen it to that magnitude that you described with the Chicago Bears, but whoever's doing the schedule needs to be fired.
Hey, I'll give you one on there, bro. I mean, that's just ridiculous. I'm a football fan in general, but I have never, ever, ever once seen anything like that.
Making it tough for the young rookie.
You talk about making it tough for the rookie. That means every divisional opponent gets to really get every game of tape on you. You talk about
Absolutely.
an advantage, there it is.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, Seneca Wallace,
All right, man.
Former NFL quarterback. We appreciate you joining us here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television, and we'll see you soon, my friend. All right?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
great
Seneca.
stuff there. Look at that, man.
Good
How
guy.
about that? I mean, he was breaking down the running game, breaking down the passing game, Baker Mayfield. I love to have that guy here on Wednesday night to talk about quarterbacks, and we're going to get on Ryan Neal in just a moment, but I got to get your thoughts, Harry the Greek, on that impressive victory, if you will, by the Bucs, a 50-burger on the Saints, 51-27. Well, Baker Mayfield throwing 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Just give me your overall thoughts, my friend.
I never really thought that the team was in jeopardy of losing that game, even when they had that horrible second quarter. I mean, they were going to finally expose what the New Orleans Saints were doing. My only question is when you have a quarterback that was struggling as much as him and trying to fit balls in fit the ball in windows this big, at that point, you've got to go back to the running game, or you have to get down to some of the checkdowns. A lot of this was getting into his head. Okay. And you and I had talked ad nauseum about it, for the whole 3 minutes that we spoke. And I said, this is not, this is not Todd Bowles' issue. This is an offensive coordinator issue. Right. You have to give your quarterback a little bit of room. At that point, when he got hurt, I would have thrown Kyle Trask in for a couple of series, got him back in the game, and they still would have won by that many points. I'm not kidding you. This was such a lopsided game. I know Ryan's in the background. He's a huge New Orleans fan, and that is why I'm going to take advantage of this and explain. Well, this poor team, man. I mean, I feel bad for the Saints. What in the world is going on with this team? Derek Carr's not there.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but is that the worst tackling performance you've seen since the Eagles showed up in the playoff game against the Bucs?
Both teams.
I can't believe how bad that tackling was by the Saints.
By the Saints, it was horrible, but it really, Leo, it wasn't that much better by the Bucs. This was, really? That's who they had to deal with behind center for New Orleans, and you couldn't contain this guy? You let him go off?
You know what's funny about this, Harry?
What's that?
If you look at that second quarter, the Bucs are darn lucky it wasn't 35 because there were 2 plays on the third down. Spencer Rattler has a guy wide open in the end zone and doesn't see him.
Yes.
The second one, if
that's why he's not a starter, Leo.
Grab him, he walks into the end zone alone. That game could have been 35-20, 21. It was crazy.
Leo,
and I tell you right now, it's a second half adjustments, Harry, because you're exactly right. And
I was just getting to it.
Yeah, I know you were.
And I said that because Baker could have thrown 5 picks in that first half. And I told Peter, he says, well, what do you do? What are you going to like in the game? I said, well, do me a favor. Don't jump off the Skyway Bridge. It's not the end of the world. Okay. I'm getting ready to bet a nickel on the Bucs in the second half, and they're going to cover easy. And it's ended up what happened. I mean, let me tell you something, Leo. The Bucs could have gave up 35 points, okay? And they only would have won by 15. The bottom line was this. Rattler is a backup quarterback for a reason. It really showed. But I am going to say this, and I had this conversation with Peter. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Tampa Bay. Guys, call me a hater, do whatever you want. This team cannot take games off. They did it against Denver, and they tried to do it against New Orleans. You can't do this if you want to be a premier team, especially in the National Football League. Well, that's all I'm going to say.
If they take the game off Monday night, they're going to wear an L.
Well, they are. They're definitely going to, because you got an explosive offense led by Lamar Jackson, and of course, Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews.
Oh, you're going to see what this team's all about, Peter.
Right.
I'm not kidding. You're going to see what this team's all about coming up this Monday.
And to a credit for the Bucs, the second half adjustments, because, and I will say this.
I said they were going to do that.
You did, but this guy right here suggested Spencer Rattler start at the very beginning over Derek Carr. Looked impressive in that first half. This guy right here, Mr. Ryan Neal.
Oh, stop it.
He
Hi,
did.
Ryan. How are you? I'm Harry the Greek, just to let
I
you know.
remember you. I remember you.
Before you go on, I got some big news. Ryan just got approved for the Alabama LSU and the Oklahoma LSU game. So he'll
be Hey, man.
I'll miss any event on the planet for that game. I don't care if it's a family's wedding, death in the family. I'm going to be at that game.
Well, you deserve it. Once again, hard work pays off.
Ryan, my condolences.
Will you shut up and be quiet, Harry? All right, but congratulations, Ryan. You deserve it. But you did say you were touting Spencer Rattler in the first half. He looked pretty good. In that second half, not so much. Go ahead and talk about this Saints game, man. Welcome to the Evolution.
Thank you for having me. And I was in the Dallas airport at the time watching this game. So that's where I was trying to come back to Tampa. So what I noticed, Spencer Rattler, I was impressed. First game, the Saints team has 33% of their entire rosters on the injury report right now. A lot of those are starters. That's a big problem. Our entire defense, most of the starters are out. But I mean, the one good thing in the whole game for me was that Lattimore clamped down Mike Evans. It's routine at this point. So that's the only thing I have from this game that was good. Besides that, Rattler showed some promise, but we have to see more in the future. This team. It's a rebuild. We're a rebuild. We should go full rebuild.
But I do have an honest question to ask you about that.
Yes.
You made a comment and said that Spencer Rattler should be the starter of this football team. Do you honestly still feel that way?
Yes, because I believe that you have a better ceiling with Spencer Rattler than the ceiling of Derek Carr. We've seen Derek Carr for what, 7-8 years.
I know exactly what he is. Spencer Rattler can't see past the second read from what I was watching. I did listen because I know he's going to probably start this week coming up, and I had to do extensive work trying to watch this. In the middle of trying to get my house unflooded. But let's be real, that guy had some serious problems, missing wide open receivers. And you talk about banged up. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was banged up. Who do they play coming up this week, by the way?
Who, Tampa Bay?
No,
Thursday night against Denver.
It's against Denver.
Yeah, Denver.
Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, and Sean Payton will have some revenge on his mind, and talking about the quarterback situation. And you're exactly right, Ryan. It has been a mash unit, if you will. If it's the Saints, they lose Olave, one of their big weapons early on.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Peter, you're all over that. That's the biggest loss. Was all of a sudden you got a new quarterback coming in. He's worked all week with Olave. The second play of the game, he goes down. And I'm really lucky that the Bucs weren't playing under college rules because that was a helmet to helmet. That was real. And again, it's not the defensive back's fault. He's aiming for the stomach, and all of a sudden the receiver ducks down. But I'll tell you what, that caused a concussion. And Olave's out the rest of the game. That was huge.
That was definitely huge. And Antoine Winfield Jr., of course, is the recipient, if you will, 58-yard fumble return touchdown. Welcome back, Antoine Winfield Jr. We missed you in that back end, so that was good to see. And Zion McCollum, guys, and I know you saw him, Ryan, and Leo, you've seen him. He's one of the most impressive corners in the league. Jason Light really got this right. You look at his Pro Football Focus grade, 10 pass breakups, leads the NFL, his physicality, his length, he's got it all. This is the reason why Leo, Harry, and Ryan, why Jason Light moved on from Carlton Davis.
Okay, I can see that.
Your best ability is your availability.
Right.
And again, guys get hurt. Peter, I hate to change gears on this, but Ryan, you got to talk about that LSU game with Ole Miss. What a wild football game.
So with that, I'm going to start with the last 2 minutes of the game. LSU didn't have a lead the entire game to the final play in overtime. The last 2 minutes, I was allowed to go on the field, 6 minutes left in the game, but it was just too much tension going on. I stayed in the press box till 2 minutes left. And Garrett Nussmeier, 22 of 51. That's not good. And, that's not good.
What
And,
a great game, though.
However, the thing is, he threw some bad passes. He looked inconsistent. The thing is, Ole Miss has one of the best defensive lines in the country, statistically. They didn't get one sack that night. They were rushing 3 most of the game, maybe a 4th one in there every now and then, and they were dropping 8. And they were saying, beat us with the pass game. And for the first half, it looked like they were doing great at it. Second half comes out. This is a second half football team. Garrett Nussmeier says, I'm a big boy now. And, I've started this game. I've been sitting behind Jaden Daniels for 2 years. It's my time to shine. And those last 2 minutes with that final drive, 2 4th down conversions, 3 3rd down conversions, and on a 4th and 5, instead of going for the short ball, Garrett Nussmeier throws an anticipatory throw where Aaron Anderson is behind the defensive back, and he gives it trust and throws it right down the middle. Beautiful ball, game-tying touchdown. Ole Miss gets the ball to start overtime. And so I'm on the field. Ole Miss goes 3 and out, gets a field goal. It's 26-23. I'm like, I'm going to go to the end zone, this corner of the end zone, and they've been throwing the ball deep all day. They're going to go to Kyron Lacey, first play, and I went into the corner. First play, Garrett Nussmeier looks at it, stares Kyron Lacey down most of the whole play, launches it up. Kyron Lacey mosses the guy 10 feet away from me. This play happened. Stadium goes berserk. A most insane game I've been to, and was a kiss to the LSU season, no matter how this season is.
No, it was awesome, man. And congratulations. I mean, I watched it. That was just unbelievable. I counted them out. I thought LSU was cooked.
I agree.
I
agree completely.
Oh my God. And you know what? A shout out to my buddy John Bowe and his wife. Happy birthday to his lovely wife. He had taken her from Tampa.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
They're huge LSU fans, and he took her for her birthday, 50-yard line seats, some special tickets. I've spent thousands, not hundreds, thousands of dollars, not only for the tickets, but for a special dinner afterwards. It was a spectacle for him and his wife.
You know what, guys? Ryan, I need you to talk about this. Everybody said before the season started that the SEC is going to get 5 teams in the playoffs. The way they're beating up on each other, I think they're going to be lucky to get 4.
What 5 are you anticipating, Leo?
Well, you had
because the Gators are not one of them.
You had Georgia. You had Alabama.
Okay,
you had
Georgia,
LSU.
Alabama.
You had Tennessee. You had Missouri. We don't even talk about Texas A&M yet. We're not even talking about Texas yet. There's 7 good football teams, and they're just beating up on each other. Ryan, if that ends up with an 11-1 Ohio State to choose between, let's say, a 8-4 Ole Miss, that's a hard choice, isn't it?
No, I'm picking Ohio State. I'll be honest with that one. If it's 11-1 Ohio State, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky at home. Then Ole Miss lost in a game to LSU that they were favored in at night in Death Valley. They were still favored in. They were ranked ahead. Not a lot of people had faith in LSU that game. That's an upset for Ole Miss. Ohio State, the Big Ten's going to get consumed a little bit too. There's going to be some teams in the Big Ten. I don't think Penn State makes it to the playoff. I think that team, I will never see Penn State as a legitimate title contender in my life, just with James Franklin, because I'm so used to them starting the season off good, drop a game to Ohio State or Michigan, and then some random game late in the season, either an Iowa or a Purdue. That's how it always went.
Well, and I tell you, I was supposed to have this guy on at 9:45. We ran a little bit late, but that's okay. I'm going to still get him on here. We'll make it a 5-way. Here we go. There we go. Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, best of the Bay. I don't know why I said that. I just said it.
No, I got a question. Every time Ray Kennedy comes on, he's out somewhere. Ray, are you like homeless or what?
Leo, bust my chops,
but
bust my chops, but it's hoodie weather in Florida, guys.
Are you scouting a hurricane?
I am.
Wait.
Oh, Ryan.
That's not even funny.
Ryan.
Well, no.
Don't even
No.
go there.
That's not even funny.
For a
You
guy
don't
that
want
has-
to go there because I will personally go to New Orleans and stuff you in a shoebox.
Who are
Yeah, this
you?
guy's got.
I'm not in New Orleans.
Who are
This
you?
guy's got.
Oh, that's even worse. Don't tell me where you're at.
Wait, Ryan's credentials for LSU in Oklahoma and LSU and what was the other one again, Ryan?
Alabama.
Alabama.
And you're gonna come in here talking trash to me on Wednesday night here in the Sports Web.
No, man. It looks like you're in a marina. It looks like you're on the coast, gonna get the wind, the rain, and everything on you. It looks like you got the meteorologist headset going on.
Yeah,
It's
Ray's
just-
doing his best. Dennis
I-
Phillips there.
I do want to give one shout out. Go back to the 5-shot.
Impersonation there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I got to give Ray Kennedy a shout out.
Yes.
You know, for Hurricane, whatever the hell his name was,
Milton.
Milton. Yeah.
He lost his stapler. Yes.
Oh, here we
If
go.
it wasn't for Ray Kennedy, we stood to lose a lot. And I mean a lot. At one point, Ray's sitting in his back room, probably drinking an IPA, and
I was so drunk.
screaming at
I'm
him
kidding.
on the phone. There's no lights. We're getting the cars out of the driveway. I saved his family's cars, got them over to the
Thank
Goodyear
you.
toward the end of the block. But Ray, I hate to talk about it, but what was that like during 120-mile-an-hour winds? Water up to our waist, running up the street, trying to avoid electrical lines, and, you ready? Trees falling down.
You know what? You talk about one of those moments, Harry. Two fathers and both their sons, you and Nick and Tristan and I, and we're
That's
hiding behind the white Sienna, and it had to have been in excess of 80 at least. I'm not sure exactly what.
No,
the
Ray.
full,
At
but
that time, the eye was
About
we were on the left side of it.
It was-
It was just over 100, gusting to 130. And guys, this was sustained. That was
we were
one
in-
of the hardest things I ever dealt with. It was horrible. It was a surreal moment.
Yeah, and we were in the eye wall literally, and we're crouching behind the Sienna. We moved our vehicles, which, by the way, again, the reason why Harry said I saved is because I'm sitting there in the back room, my in-laws and my family, and Harry calls and says, "Get Tristan, get the truck, get up to Goodyear." He'd already gotten one of his cars. We ended up moving 7 cars out of the flood there up to higher ground, so that was a great save for you, Harry. But there we are, 2 fathers and 2 sons. We're running back down in water. We're up to our waist, getting into it as we get near the house, and we realize that, yeah, this is the lake that has alligators and snakes too. So now we got and poor Nick was cold. He's the only one without a shirt, but Nick had been doing so much running around, he was freezing. So yeah, one of those moments. It was one of those seminal moments, brother.
Yeah, it was.
Damn,
Yeah,
I wish
better,
I was
better.
helping you out there, but I had to evacuate here in Holiday, and then I went to Tampa.
Pete, we would have loved you over there, but we would have had to throw you a life vest.
Probably would have. Yes.
Glad you guys are okay.
Thanks.
By the beginning, I only meant that as a joke. I had no idea.
No,
that
Ryan.
that was
Ryan.
Right. No,
Your family,
We love you
brother.
on the show, man. We love you. All right, Leo,
Your
what you want to
family.
say?
I'll tell you what, guys. Sunday, I took a look at the weather report, and the eye was supposed to go 4 blocks south of my house. I said, time to head to Charleston, which I did.
Well,
It
you're
was
good about that. And again, we were very fortunate, although there was some damage in the Bay Area with Hurricane Milton, more damage, if you will, south of us there, because the eye did hit a lot like Charlie in 2004, which our good friend Dennis Phillips, who we got to get back on, but it's been one of the, hit south of us. One of the busiest men out there, did a phenomenal job of his weather coverage. We love him on the Sports Web, and we love
Nobody
his
talked about my weather coverage on News Nation before.
Well, wait a
after.
minute.
Hey,
That's also correct. News Nation, right
Thank
there.
you.
You got to get me that video because we're going to play that on the show. But great
Not the
job.
second one. The
by-
second one, I was a little emotional. And
You
we're not
know
doing
what- you know
that
what,
because the
guys?
Greek is never sensitive.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
you know when you can tell you really got a problem with the weather? When Jim Cantori, the angel of death, shows up to do the weather report from your city.
Yes.
That's when you know time to get out of Dodge.
We
'Cause
were
it's-
effed.
Let's talk. Let's keep it on college football here, gentlemen, and talk about how
Oh, hell no. Let's talk about hurricanes.
Well, yeah,
The
absolutely.
funny thing was about that night is that I'm thinking you talk about Dennis Phillips, and there was a point that night, Harry. I think I was on the phone with you, and I said, you know what? Forget that rule number 7 shit. Pardon my French. Forget that rule number 7. But Dennis Phillips, the coverage, and it was funny. I turned on ABC News there, and Dennis Phillips was locking it down. He had his. I'm sorry if it's loud, guys, but I was a little excited. He had his suspenders on. My mother-in-law immediately recognized him. She hasn't watched ABC in I don't know how many years. And he actually, the comfort and the soothingness, the coverage that Dennis Phillips gave us got us through that storm until we lost power, which was about 45 minutes later. But yeah, shout out to DP there.
Yeah,
DP.
I shot DP a text and went, Rule 7, kiss my ass. This is bad.
Yeah, it was bad. And listen, it could have been a lot worse. It honestly could have been. And we were fortunate again in the
I
Tampa
don't know
Bay
how much
area.
worse it could have been.
But well,
Not over here,
as
man.
not fortunate as Oregon was
Not as
beating
much
Ohio
worse.
State. What a
yes,
strange game that was when the kicker hits the daggone Ohio State guy in the head with
That's
the
funny.
kickoff and recover, and there's the difference in the game.
yeah, that's a difference in the game. And then weather again played a factor with USF because we covered them locally here. You could see definitely an emotionally charged Alex Golish after the game. We kind of talked about this on the JP show today. Leo, do you think they should have played the game? Only 3,300 fans came out, and they were lucky to get that with the conditions, the flooding, and then the drive also from Tampa to Orlando.
No, they shouldn't have played the game. But again, TV dictates what you do anymore.
Yeah.
And they weren't going to lose that time slot. They were going to put the game in there somewhere, somehow. And the biggest thing was they couldn't move it to another date. And you know why they moved it out of Tampa Bay, guys? And here's why. There weren't enough police and first responders to actually cover that game because they were out and about taking care of people here with the hurricane and the flooding. But for some reason, and I have no idea why, I'm standing there getting my credential for the Bucks preseason game, and one of the officers is standing there, and I said, hey, just for giggles, how many policemen worked this game for an NFL game? He looks at me and goes, just a little bit north of 200.
Wow.
I said, that includes traffic? No, that's just inside the stadium. 200 officers, plus you got at least 50 to 100 fire and first responders. The game was moved to Orlando because there wasn't that many around.
Hey, Leo, I'm sorry. You're all right. You're right about all that and the emotional toll and students because they're here. They're all visiting. They're from other places. Come here, international, coming here, and they're in the middle of the eye of the storm or a hurricane. But at the end of the day, I don't want to bury the lead. This USF Bulls team, we're going to see what they do in recovery this week. But they stood up to Alabama, and they took them to the third, fourth quarter. They stood up against a Miami who's putting themselves now on a national list, and it seems like there's been a suction or vacuum, if you will. And the question is, do any of you guys on the panel here, do you think that Coach Golish overstepped and overbit, or in the long run, as I believe, this is good for the program, but they're definitely emotionally beat at this point, and I think we've seen that over the last several weeks in some of these games, as well as hurricanes and other issues.
I want to steal thunder here because I think it goes back to what Leo's point was. Listen, you definitely play a competitive game versus the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? You play them 3.5 quarters. You have an opportunity to win that game. What Leo's point is you don't want to get beat up versus the Miami Hurricanes. And Leo, that's exactly what happened is, Brown got beat up. The team got beat up. And that was kind of, that's what it comes down to, the depth of your team when it plays all out. If you have those injuries and then you don't have any depth at the end of the day, it's going to cost you. And I think it's definitely cost USF. The talent isn't necessarily there. And then on top of it, let's just face it, Tulane and Memphis are top of the conference, and USF is still trying to figure out how to get to that level at this point.
But Peter, they hung in against Alabama and they hung in against Michigan for several quarters. I think of those two,
Miami, yes,
not Miami. I'm sorry, but of those 8 quarters, I think the Bulls were in there for 6 of those against the 2 teams over 2 games. And now we're seeing a team, even though they're top of the AAC conference, we're seeing a team that was emotionally spent. So my question is, can Coach Golish and they get motivated to play this rest of this series? Whether they're going to be able to win the AAC at this point now, I don't believe it's possible, and even possibly get themselves in contention for a bowl by finishing strong. Do we think they have I see that Navy's going to be a tough call, and so are the rest of these games.
Well, you have to win out.
Right. Yeah, you're going to have to win out. UAB is a team on Saturday that you should absolutely blow their doors off, right, Leo? Because it seems like Trent Dilfer right now, it could be fired eventually. It's not working out. It's been a complete disaster. So if Archie in this offense is going to take off, and of course that's been a point of emphasis and definitely disappointing because you lose Brown, you got to do that on Saturday versus UAB, right?
Well, you got to win the football game. And Peter, they're sitting at 2-4. 5 of their last 6 are winnable. I don't know if Navy's a winnable game anymore.
Right.
Because, and again, don't look at the record with UAB. Look at who they played. They played Arkansas head-to-head. They played Army and Navy. The biggest problem playing Army and Navy now is you are going to get beat up. They are. When you play the service academies, they're going to beat you up. They may not win the game, but they're going to beat you up. Well, guess what? This year, Army and Navy, they're going to beat you up and win. So the problem at UAB is that their quarterback has not been healthy. And I asked Coach Orlando and I asked Coach Gordon today, I said, not going to have any trouble putting up any bulletin board material after the way they drilled you last year. He said, oh, yeah. You know,
Wow.
it was embarrassing. You know, they're coming off 2 wins, and all of a sudden they get on to UAB, and they are never in the game.
Never.
So, yeah. By the way, they also canceled homecoming this week. They're going to move it to another game because they couldn't come back from Orlando. And this is wild. And, Harry, if I'd have known this, I'd have put the daggone mortgage on Memphis. They didn't have a practice outdoors after Tuesday. They were running walkthroughs in a ballroom. Tell me how conducive that is to winning football games.
Wow. It's not conducive at all. I mean, it's you can't. It's impossible.
And I think we lost Ray there. So, Ray, thanks a lot for the time there. I know, Leo, you've got to run. Harry, you can stay around if you want to. Ryan, you got some final thoughts here. Congratulations, young man, on getting credentialed with Alabama. And, of course,
really, congrats, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm stoked for it for sure. With the USF, I got to give them props. You know, that's the thing. When you start a season with you have your gauntlet at the beginning of the season, Alabama, Miami, Tulane, Memphis, those 4 games in a row, that's a hard little run through for USF for sure. And Alabama, and Miami, demoralizers. You were with them for most of the game, and then you drop. I wouldn't say drop it. You just got. They have better athletes. That's college football, and they took the fourth quarter. They ran with it. That's what happens all the time with Power 4 against these conference teams sometimes. And then Tulane and Memphis, they're both awesome teams too. And so they're just getting beat up week after week, and it gets demoralizing.
Yeah, it definitely does. Guys, I appreciate the time. Leo, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
Yeah, I'm going to get ready to do my daily post. It's been just a crazy day with being out of USF, jumping on with JP at 10:15 today, Peter. I was excited because I didn't have to rush out to USF. Check us out at Up Sports. Another big thing tonight, USF women's volleyball. They were 6-0, playing Rice 6-0. USF won 3 straight.
Nice. All right. Congratulations. Thank you very much for the update there, Mr. Leo Haggerty, legend himself. We'll see you soon here. We'll see you on Saturday. All right, my friend?
Save your seat. Take care, guys.
All right. There you go. Ryan Neal, go ahead and promote yourself.
Instagram, ryan.nealstercfb. And I'm also on ampedupsports.com writing articles and stuff. This weekend, LSU plays Arkansas in Arkansas at 7 p.m. That's going to be a good one. That's always a good rivalry game. Make sure to catch it. I'll see you guys next Wednesday.
All right. Good stuff there, Ryan Neal, newest analyst.
Right. Go
there.
Saints.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Go Tigers.
All right. Good stuff there. Harry, you want to hang out for a little bit because Tampa Bay Ray is calling in?
I can hang out for about 10 minutes.
Okay. All right. Let's go out to this guy here. I'm not going to give him an intro. Ray, we lost contact with you. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Welcome back. And by the way, open phone lines because I'm going to open the Kraken right now. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Now you can call in. Ray, I guess you were there. Now you're gone. I don't know what the hell is going on here. So the open phone lines are here. I'm not going to call him. Well, he'll call back.
Call him.
Let's go out to the comments here. Hold on. Let's just go out to the comments. He'll call back. Roger says, first, we'll go ahead and acknowledge you.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to Roger again. I like the new music, Pete. Absolutely had to change the new music up. Okay. I don't know what Ray's writing. Thank you very much for texting me. Call back in if you want to. Good evening, Peter. What's going on, Tim?
Yeah.
Let's go out to Sit and Go Bucks all day long.
Let's go! It's exciting.
It is exciting. 4-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Carl says could have been a 60 burger without the interceptions, and that was kind of concerning. That it kind of snowballed at that point. What did you see from that second quarter? Was Baker trying to do too much? Trying to throw into that little window there. It just seemed like, special teams broke down. You turn over, you have all these turnovers. You're giving the team that extra momentum. I mean, what did you see in that second quarter?
3 words. The perfect storm. That's it.
That's it. Okay. The perfect storm.
It was the perfect storm. It was the perfect storm. And I still wasn't sweating it. Peter, I tell you, I absolutely loaded up in the second half in that game. I didn't worry about it at all.
I need to start calling you, man, because I need to start loading up with some money here with these bets. And we need to get the over-under back. By the way, there is an opportunity this Sunday. Yeah, the over-under. There is an well, it's a show where we talk about over and unders either Friday or Sunday. We need to bring that back, my friend.
What super smart guy used to do that show?
You did that show, my
Me?
friend. Yes.
Oh yeah.
The News Nation guy, which by the way, you followed me because I did News Nation too with a Tampa Bay story.
Yeah.
But you were great on that. You did good.
It was a 13-minute interview, the second one.
I think I saw the first one, but you
haven't seen the second one. It was all audio. I refused to go on video. It was.
Why?
Are you serious? It was the day after, the first morning. Are you kidding me?
Oh, it was yeah.
Yeah, no.
What was the damage like over there, by the way?
It's I can't describe, Peter, I can't describe it.
Wow.
I cannot describe it.
Well,
it looked like Irma on steroids.
Wow. I went down. I was Ubering down there to St. Pete Beach and before Milton hit, and it was a war zone, and there was all kinds of junk and garbage all over the place. And then I went down there after Milton, and the lights were just closed. It was like a Wild Wild West. Like you had to stop and because trucks were coming, and this was coming. It was just everything was pitch black. You didn't know if you were driving in the water. And I have a Tesla, so I got to be careful.
Shout out to the best governor in the entire country.
Yes.
Because just prior to Hurricane Milton hitting, everybody was complaining that they weren't picking the debris up and everything from Hurricane Helene. And they said that all the dumps were full and they weren't allowing anything to happen. And he basically said, hey, you either open it up or I'm going to come down and open it up and you're all fired.
Well, I tell you, we're going to go out to one of our favorite webheads. He's got a bone to pick with you. Literally.
I don't want to talk about chicken wings.
Mr. Williams right now. Mr. Williams and Frankie, I see you calling. Yes, Mr. Williams, you're on. You got something to say about chicken wings?
Nah, first I'm going to give him shots out to his little Chicago Bears.
The little Chicago Bears?
Little Chicago Bears, like the little Giants. Yeah. The little Giants moved the little Chicago Bears. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, I was wrong about the little purple fingernail polish of the young fella Wayne. May God be with him.
Thanks, man.
But, yeah, may God be with him. But you ain't going nowhere anyway.
Wow.
Now,
I bet you Tampa would switch quarterbacks right now.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I do.
I'm
21 years old. That's all I'm going to say.
Well,
can you imagine that young man in this offense in 2 years? Are you kidding me with Mike Evans? And Chris
right now, you got Baker Mayfield, who has 17 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's playing at an MVP level now.
I know he is, but Baker the cupcake.
That's right.
He's doing well.
He is. He's killing it right now.
Harry,
yes, with that running game.
When your quarterback ran this touchdown, he looked at his fingers to make sure he didn't chip a nail.
Oh, I know that. I know that. You know what, Mr. Williams? That right there, Mr. Williams, is the comment of the night. Mr. Williams, I don't condone men that paint their fingernails. Okay. And by the way, that opinion does not necessarily express the opinions of the sports web. That's just Harry the Greek.
Okay, but
and Mr. Williams.
I need you to come to Tampa on Monday night. Yeah.
we need to all get together. We need to have a sports web get together.
Do me a favor,
Mr.
put me on
Williams.
mute, please.
Yeah, we'll put you on mute here. I don't know what's going on. Okay. All right. So we're going to.
Yeah, man. But we, all us as Bucks fans, we thank God for Mr. Antoine Winfield Jr. for coming back.
Yes.
Man. Help was on the way, and he did a hell of a job.
He did.
Chris Godwin, keep up the good work. You're gonna be in the Hall of Fame after a while. But hey, I love the idea of Bucky Irvin. Hey, wonderful guy, man.
Well, 14 carries for 81 yards, and then Sean Tucker, 14 carries for 136 yards. And by the way, player of the week right there, FedEx player of the week. So congratulations to him. But that running game, Mr. Williams, was the catalyst of the offense last Sunday. 277 rushing yards. Impressive.
Yes, and we ain't seen that in a while.
No, you definitely haven't seen it in a while.
We have not seen that in a while.
No.
And kudos to Vita. He came back, and I take my hat off to Logan Hall and Cansey, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, Logan Hall got back there like a freight train.
He did.
Yeah, man. And I'm like, okay, and we hold down. They offense, Mr. 41. We hold them down, and we really wish that they had their starting quarterback in. We really wish they had Derek in.
Oh, you wish they had Derek Carr in? Well, you know,
because Derek is another Jameis Winston.
It doesn't matter to me if they had Derek Carr in or if they had David Carr in. That Bucs offense would have steamrolled them.
See,
take the win. That's what you do.
Yeah.
No matter if it was Derek Carr or whatever, you just take. Hold on, Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, hold up. You take the win. You've got to take the win. You don't hope for a better quarterback to be in the game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were just as banged up, but I got a question for you. Okay, since you're dishing it out really well, but I want you to digest this just really good. Aren't you a little bit concerned? Forget about the point, the fact that they scored 50 points in this game and they beat the brakes off a team that they were supposed to. What do you feel about this team and how good they are, considering the way they played against a horrible Denver Bronco team? You can say what y'all want about what their record is. That team is god awful, okay? And then the way they played against a New Orleans team they were supposed to beat the brakes off of. I want to hear what your thoughts are on that team.
All right. On that, against the Denver Broncos, we shouldn't have lost.
No, they didn't lose. They got their ass beat. That's the story of it.
That we did.
Right.
We did.
Right.
As me being a Bucs fan, I was highly pissed. I was pissed. Yes, I was.
Well, you should have been, because the effort wasn't there, Mr. Williams. The effort wasn't there at all. So
but it took us to get our ass whooping. To realize, look, if we gonna be where we need to be, this ass whooping that we got to come back and we got to play. Now, even Monday night, we got a big ass test ahead of us.
You do.
A big ass test.
You do. A big ass test. You're absolutely correct. And it comes down to Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson.
Derrick Henry is running like a madman trying to escape from prison.
Well, he ran out of Tennessee. He's running that fast for Baltimore at this point. He's 31 years old, and he's always been a monster.
And I'm going to say, Tabo, you need to have a game plan and make sure that you are ready for number 22, because they're going to damn sure not feed him the motherfucking ball. On Monday night.
Right.
They're going to feed him the ball.
All right, Mr. Williams. Passionate. I love it.
And that front line, we got to either stand up or get ran the fuck over.
Well, there you go. Mr. Williams, we appreciate the call. Yes.
Yo, buddy.
Harry, number love, brother. Hey, man. I love you, dude. Like I
love
said,
you too,
man,
brother.
Come on down to Tampa, man. And
I'm here in Tampa, bro. Man.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna figure out a meeting, Mr. Williams. We appreciate the call. We're definitely gonna
Yeah,
get those
man.
chicken wings. We're getting all the web heads together. It's all on Harry. It's for my birthday. It's my birthday gift to you. Harry's gonna pay for the wings and all the food, and all the web heads are gonna come there and enjoy it.
Nah, man. Can I just want to shake Mr. Harry's hand, man?
Absolutely. Sure you can.
Because that's my guy, man.
Yes, it is.
That's my guy.
It
But
is
though,
your guy that owes you wings. Yes.
Peter, you the top dog, baby.
Of
You the top
course.
dog.
Of course, buddy.
FSU all day, man. Win
Oh.
or lose, man.
We're probably going to
Win or
lose.
lose.
Yeah.
Win or lose,
All
man.
right. Sorry, Mr. Williams. I appreciate
All
the
right.
call. Love you, brother. All right. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I saw Frankie call, I saw Ray call, and I saw Roger call. So call back. Let's continue to read some of these comments here on the sports web. Let's see who is eating their dinner on the air. I don't know what that was about. A little bit of feedback from Leo's side, but we're okay with that. The Hill Mark, Frankie, of course, from Wisconsin. Wait for JJ next year in Minnesota. With that being said, the Hill Mark is calling in. Frankie, welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. What's on your mind tonight?
What up?
What
Sorry,
up? What's
I
going
had
on,
to.
buddy? What's
I
going
had
on?
to.
Yes, sir.
Woo.
You happy about that win last Sunday versus the Saints, 51-27?
Let's just not talk about the second quarter because that doesn't matter. We were out getting fudge. Maybe we had a high school team coming and play for us. We heard there was a sale going on. Maybe we needed to get some McDonald's. I don't know, but we weren't playing the second quarter.
Well, it was the invasion of the body snatchers that second quarter because there were multiple turnovers, 3 interceptions, no defense, special teams breakdowns. Just, again, a combination of a perfect storm of suck, if you will, for the Bucs.
Like I said, they were out getting McDonald's. It's okay.
No, well, the $5 meal is pretty good. I mean, that's a great deal. You get a cheeseburger, or, you get no onion, no pickle on it. You get chicken nuggets with it. You get a drink and you get a small fry. It's $5. I mean, that's probably where they were. And then they came back and loved every minute of shutting down the Saints. And it was a beautiful thing in that second half.
I'm just glad they didn't hear about the never ending possible because then Vita Vea made it never came back.
Well, no, it was,
It
you know what
crap.
it was. But before the second half was over with, at halftime, every Bucs fan was ready to fire Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles never has this team prepared. Todd Bowles doesn't make, adjustments in the second half. Todd Bowles should be fired again because this team is not ready. This defense isn't any good.
Gosh.
It's always the nonsense you hear. And I love you Bucs fans out there. I truly do. But some of you guys, you guys got to take some Prozac or something.
You want to
just
talk about
calm
somebody
down.
that needs to get fired
Who?
or somebody that needs to worry about getting fired? How about Peterson? That guy really needs to worry about his job.
Peterson who?
Jacksonville. Doug Peterson.
Oh, Doug Peterson. I mean, let me go out to you, Harry. Are you surprised that Jacksonville has been so disappointing? A lot of expectations coming in there. They make the playoffs a couple years ago. They sign the quarterback to a big-time extension. Are you surprised that he has struggled? What have you seen from this team? How surprised are you that right now they're struggling in Jacksonville?
I think they really hurt that young man, Trevor Lawrence. But if you do remember correctly, Peter, I said when they drafted him, do you recall what I said?
I believe you said you thought he could be a bust.
Yeah. I don't think he's a true bust, but I'll never say he'll ever be over a 500 quarterback, according to his record. You know what? Am I surprised? Yeah. This team is, in my opinion, too talented to be playing that way, and I'm actually kind of shocked because I do like the coach.
Well, I like the coach too, and again, he's done some good things, but it's not working right now, and you just wonder if Jacksonville is going to pull the plug. But going back to the Bucs, what were you more surprised by? Were you more surprised by that defense showing up, Frankie, with Kalijah Cansey coming back, Antoine Winfield Jr., or the outburst, if you will, shoving it down the Saints' throats with 277 yards of rushing?
Do you want to know my favorite play, honestly?
Yeah.
Okay. it wasn't even a scoring play. We're going back to Bucky Irvin taking the run. And what happens? Baker Mayfield coming back off getting injured and pulls up and he throws in a block.
Yep. Pulls
So
up
Bucky
pulls up
gets the
Brett
extra
Favre.
2 yards.
Yep, 31-yard run.
Baker block.
Yes.
That Baker block was my, oh, God, did that just happen?
Yep.
Yeah, that just happened. Like, I got to see that again. And I literally rewound that on my TV because I wanted to see that again.
It reminds you.
Oh, man. That was my play of the game. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. That Baker coming, just, oh, man. They were just questioning and he was getting hurt and we were like, oh, right. Gosh, we're going to see Kyle Trask. Nope, he ain't hurt.
Nope. Well, he's not going to let Trask get in. I'm sorry. He's tough as nails. You're going to have to will him out in a wheelchair.
Swayze.
Yeah, well, it is Gus Swayze, and it was Brett Favre-esque, if you will, with going down and blocking on that 31-yard. And it's right now it's Buck and Tuck. And I didn't make that up. That's been put out there. Buck and Tuck right now, with Sean Tucker being the player of the week there. And, of course, Bucky Irving getting those starts. And they got a three-headed monster. It's a good problem. I don't know what they're going to do with Rachaad White when he comes back. They may make him a third down back as long as these players continue to produce. But, again, it's a good problem. It's a good problem to have, Frankie.
It's one of the best problems to have, being like, oh, geez, we got 3 running backs now.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? Oh, my. Geez.
Run the ball.
Running back life expectancy isn't that great in the NFL.
It's not.
If you got 3 running backs, guess what? Then you're going to have them just that much longer then.
They're going to be fresh, and you're not going to have to worry about injuries, and injuries happen in the National Football League. That's why we say not for long. Anything else here, Frankie?
Speaking of injuries, the most heartbreaking thing that happened this weekend. Brain fart on the name.
Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions.
Oh, God, horrible.
Yeah.
The last name is where I was like drawing a blank.
Got you, brother.
Like,
I got you. Yes.
I saw that and I was just his face. You see his facial expression from when he was falling. And I was like, oh gosh, that hurts. Ow, that hurts. Ouch.
Yeah, compound fracture, and Harry, you have been talked about this off air. It could be career. Hopefully, it's not career threatening. The young man, he's still young. He's still productive.
This was almost as bad as the Theismann break. That's absolutely horrible.
The other thing I wanted to talk about.
Definitely, even if he does come back, Peter, there's no way he'll ever be the same. It's impossible at that position.
He might not be the same because you have to have that first step. You may not have that first step. You may not have that leverage. You're going to have to go off of that foot there with planning it. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong in that situation. And then on top of it, for the here and now, when it comes to the football aspect, it absolutely hurts the Lions and their chances of not only winning that division, because it's highly competitive with Minnesota and Green Bay and even Chicago there. But also,
it's the only team since the modern era of realigning teams that after the first 6 games, every team in the division has 4 wins or more. Think about that.
It's amazing. It's an unbelievable division at this point.
You even said that division had the possibility before the season started that it might be the best division in football.
It may be. It may absolutely be because it's so competitive. You got young quarterbacks in there. Sam Darnold. I mean, think about it. The Carolina Panthers had Sam Darnold and you had Baker Mayfield both on your roster, and they went to other places, and now you got the greatness of Bryce Young. That didn't work out too well. Not at all. Frankie, we got to run. Yes. Go ahead.
I got one last question for you here.
Okay,
guys.
buddy.
All right. So as I turn on Good Morning Football this morning, as I do every morning,
okay,
I go, wait a minute. So the triggers were actually pulled on Devontae Adams. Well, not only did we get the Devontae Adams hammer got pulled, but Amari Cooper got shipped to the Bills. Now, honestly, in my opinion, I think Amari Cooper getting shipped to the Bills is a bigger deal than Devontae going to the Jets.
Bingo.
I don't think Devontae is going to save the Jets.
Well, you know what's going to save the Jets? Prayer. at this point.
No. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you were the owner of a franchise in the National Football League,
Sure.
okay, and playing possum like he has for the Raiders, would you want him to and pay him that kind of money and give up draft capital? No, seriously. Would you, Peter, take him? Honestly? Hang on. He's basically telling a team, I don't want to play for you. I'm just going to sit here. My hamstring hurts. I don't want to come. Look, man, I don't want any part of that.
Well,
And now
to be fair, guys, and Mark Davis said there's going to be no Crosby trade, and it would be crazy to trade him. But there are going to be some suitors out there, namely the Lions that we talked about.
He wanted out, Pete.
Right, he does, and right now it's a complete disaster because the Raiders right now as an organization decided to not go after a quarterback. That was their biggest fundamental flaw. Mark Davis is not a great owner. And on top of it, to be fair to Adams, he's been productive even in a shitty quarterback situation. He's been able to still have 1,000-yard seasons, but you're exactly right. That's why I always tell everybody, don't take Mike Evans and Chris Godwin for granted because they're not divas on or off the field. They go about it in a professional manner. Adams is a diva right now. He's absolutely, and I thought this deal was done a year ago when Rodgers started to talk about Adams and Adams started to talk about it. There's some back channels going on at the end of the day. No,
it's called being a cancer in the locker room.
Right.
And you've now forced the management to get rid of you. So you're now going to reward them? Me? I would have been like, you know what? You can sit your ass down. I'll trade you at the end of the year.
Because you know why? Because they're a weak organization. They wanted to get what they could get. You're exactly right. He was a cancer, so they wanted to move on. And you know what? Adams got his wish to go with Rodgers, who's coaching, who's being the general manager, who's being the owner right now with the New York Jets. And I don't know. Listen, Adams is supremely talented. Rodgers is talented, but there's something wrong with this team.
And I'm going to give you a prediction right here. One of the most talented teams in the National Football League on paper are the New York Jets. And are you ready? You can put 3 more Devontae Adams up there. They will not only win that division, they are not going to the playoffs.
No, they're not going to the playoffs because I think Rodgers eventually will either get hurt or something in that locker room is going to happen.
He's going to have to go to a retreat in the bye week.
Well, he needs to go to the dark room at this point.
With the Jets is you have Aaron Rodgers that complained for how long that he never had a first-round wide receiver to throw the ball to. And now he's got Garrett Wilson, and he's still throwing the ball to Allen Lazard.
Well, Lazard did catch a touchdown the other night, and then Mike Williams, most likely he could be out of there because he's not.
And how did you like those comments about Mike Williams? You think that was really nice of Aaron Rodgers?
No, and that's the problem. As talented as Rodgers is as a quarterback, he has always been that type. He is a diva, and he's been like that, and nothing has changed. Just because he's in a new uniform for the Jets doesn't mean that's changed, and that's most likely the reason why the Jets are not going anywhere. Frankie, appreciate the call, man. Use that second call. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Once a diva, always a diva. This was the problem with him in the Packers. He had the same problem. I didn't get enough weapons. I didn't get this. I didn't get that. You got a big-time contract, and then you lose Adams because of the big-time contract, and now you want Adams back, and now you want Lazard back, and Mike Williams isn't good enough. Nothing is good enough for this guy. You got to get him 10,000 weapons over and over again for him to even get to this team to the playoffs, and most likely they're not going anywhere because of his stupid, stinking attitude. It's always been...
There's only been 2 players in my existence that I've ever agreed with getting a coach fired. The first one that comes to mind, and I didn't have a problem with it. Who was it?
Magic Johnson.
Okay, that's one. Do you know the other one?
Michael Jordan.
You're damn right.
And then the reason why they fired Collins at the time, Doug Collins,
they couldn't get by.
Well, they couldn't get by, but he was also too friendly with Michael Jordan. They needed a guy to go in there and say, "Hey, we need you to."
Michael got him fired.
Oh, Michael
he went to Jerry Krause and he got to go.
Wow. All right.
Just think about that.
Speaking of somebody from Chicago, let's go out to this guy.
Acknowledge me.
Let's go out to the
That's right.
tribal troll there. We're glad you're safe, Mr. Roger Shue. Welcome to the Evolution.
You are harder to get a hold of than the Pope.
Well,
This is my sixth time trying to call in.
Well, everybody's trying to call in at the same time, and I'm releasing the crack, and I love all the calls, but I'm trying to get to you and trying to get everybody, enough time to say what they want to say, what's on their mind. What's on your mind tonight, man?
Nothing major. I just wanted to say great show.
Thank
Content
you.
has been awesome like always.
Thank you.
Have a great night, and I will talk to you in the morning.
Yeah, no turnbuckle talk. Hopefully we can make it through the morning at the end of the day. The calls on the sales, and I'll just give you an idea of this today, how stupid some of the people are off the phone or on the phone today. Somebody actually accused me of getting them fired because I called them. And then I said in a smart way, if you will, well, I got you fired because you answered the phone. How come you answer the phone at work? How can you be at work and know not to answer the phone and still answer the phone to an unknown number when you know that could get you fired? That's the kind of day I was having today at Politics.
Can you say dipshit?
I'm saying it's definitely a dipshit.
I can one up that one. I had a lady today ask me, how much is the free quote?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I couldn't sell these people.
No, you did. You're lying.
No, it's true. I mean, those are the leads today. I couldn't believe
You're lying.
No. I did really good. I got to work at 12:30. I ended up at 17.
Oh, great. Well, get the hell out of here for that. You know what? See you later for that. Get out of here. Let's go out to great job himself, Mr. Dave Ruffalo here. Welcome to the Evolution, my friend.
Great job, buddy.
Great job. What's up, man?
Great to see you. I'm glad you're safe and sound.
Yeah, man. You too.
Everything's going well. So we're just doing this Bucks talk tonight?
Well, we didn't do any turnbuckle talk yet. I know you want to do that, but we did some Bucks talk. So, yeah, I know you want to talk some Bucks. So talk some Bucks, and we'll talk wrestling later if you want.
I got to jump somewhere else, though. Number one, glad everyone's getting better. We're just praying for all the persons that are struggling after Hurricane Milton.
Absolutely.
Number two, I got a segue. We got to go somewhere else. We got to go to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, okay. So, and that was another point of contention that I was going to throw out tonight. Of course.
Here's what I'd like to say.
Yes.
Bad things happen to bad people.
Thank God it happened. No, thank God. Now the Rays Stadium. I'm glad. Everything happened like that, because now the Rays can go somewhere else and play baseball like in a seriously nice stadium, because that place should have been blown up like decades ago. That was the worst stadium in the world.
You're probably right. You're probably absolutely
various
correct.
People,
right?
Hall of Famers used to talk about all the time. I think it was a guy who pitched for the Pirates. God, I forgot his name now. It was a Colsey or somebody else. He went in there. He goes, "God, this place should be blown up." And where do you think the Rays are going to go? What do you think of some viable options?
let me ask you this, and I'll go out to Webheads, because we got lots of Rays fans on here.
Right.
Where would you like to play what would you like the Rays to play their games? Where do you think they decide to play their games? Is it Orlando at the Wide World of Sports?
Yeah.
That's a far place at 7,500. Would you go
I don't think they're dropping the $39 million to rebuild, right? They're not going to drop any money.
No, I don't think they're going to either. Would you like to see them go to Clearwater at Thresher's Field there, where the Phillies do their spring training? I believe it's Spectrum. The Yankees.
What about the Steinbrenner? I mean,
why
do you think
not?
the MLB will be cool with that?
Why wouldn't they? They should be in Tampa. They should have been in Tampa in the first place. I love St. Pete. Don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, the Rays belong in Tampa at the central part of this. So why not play their games in Tampa around all the Tampa Bay Rays and give Major League Baseball something to think about, if you will. They're still going to have a new stadium in St. Pete, but why play in Orlando? That's not going to do anybody any favors. You think any Rays fans are going to Orlando to support this team? Hell, you can't even get people from Hillsborough County or
Actually, they'll probably have more fans going to the games
in
Orlando.
They
Peter, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but are you kidding me?
It's all right. It's all right. I mean, Tampa, Clearwater. I don't think Port Charlotte, but Dunedin maybe. I mean, I'm not in favor of them going to Orlando, and I can understand where Harry's coming from. You've got 7,500 there, but how does that help your Rays fan base?
And then they'll get more fans over there, and Stu's going to be like, I think we should move the ball club.
Just get the hell out of here. I just say goodbye. See you later.
To Lakeland. See you later.
Goodbye. Yeah, go to Lakeland.
Peter, I know you want to take your phone calls. It's been a pleasure, my brother. Seriously,
Yes,
it's been a while since I've been on there. You know, I got to tell you, it's been a hell of a week, buddy. That's all I'm going to say. Appreciate you having me on, little brother. And we're going to talk to you soon. And I really appreciate talking to Seneca today. And thanks to all the web heads out there and the Greek guys that want to make good comments. Let's just keep going. Keep sending me stuff in my DMs. I've been giving picks out, and everybody seems to be making a little bit of money except for you, Pete. We'll talk to you later.
I need to make some money. Thanks a lot for that. Appreciate you, Harry the Greek, right there. Not making me any money at all. What's going on with that?
This guy sucks.
Damn it. I need to make some money. Can somebody make me some freaking money at this point? Let me get this thing off the screen here. Let me go out to my one shot there. There we go. There's my name right there. Lower third. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. Dave, what else?
I just think, like I said, do you think the Rays owner, do you think he's probably thinking, said, like, wow, this is the best thing that could happen? Get that
He's thinking about money. That's all he thinks about. That's all Stu Sternberg thinks about is money.
Right.
That's it.
I don't have to worry about upgrading that stadium anymore. I'm done. I could go somewhere else. Maybe he does like a 40-40 split. Maybe half the games in Tampa, half the games in Orlando. Now, is there any other than the Miami stadium, is there any other indoor baseball? There's nothing else in Florida, right? Other than,
I mean, you got Al Lang Stadium, which suffered some damage. I don't know. I mean, I could see Tampa with the Yankees. You could see the Philadelphia Phillies and Clearwater. That's spring training. Dunedin, Toronto Blue Jays. That's where they play. And then Orlando's been thrown out there. But again, I understand where you're going with the Orlando thing. And I think that's most likely where they may go. They got 7,500, but how does that improve your fan base? And this is not going to just be a 1 year thing. It's going to be a couple year thing. So
3 years.
That kind of just craps on your fan base. I would say try to make it work in Clearwater. Try to make it work in Tampa. I don't give a damn if the Yankees are training there with spring training or, Florida State. I don't care. Cover it up. Play in Tampa. They belong in Tampa. Let them play in Tampa. Screw it.
I like it. I think they're going to expand their base because now I think you get a lot of people like me. I'll go to more games. I'll probably go to 15, 20 games a year if they play in Tampa. But people in Orlando are like, hey, I'll drive to Tampa or vice versa. If they play half their games over at Wild World of Sports, I'll drive out there an hour and a half to go see them.
I mean, I don't know if you're going to be. Are you driving an hour and a half out to Orlando, or are you going to drive out to Tampa? I think it's more likely you drive to Tampa at this point, right?
At 5 miles away. But I'm just saying, I think it'll expand it. I think getting more people going to games, and again, they're only getting 8,000 or 9,000 people a game anyway. So now they'll get 10,000 to 12,000 people.
Right, you get 11,000 out there in Tampa with the playing in the Yankees field there. But it's close to home, and everybody would know it. And I think you would see a lot of sellouts, and the owner would be happy, of course, because he's getting those sellouts, and fans, of course, and locally would be here because people are going to come from St. Pete. People are going to come from Tampa. People are going to come from Pasco County and other regions to watch the Rays. I do believe that if they're in Tampa or Clearwater. If they're in Orlando, good luck. It's a crapshoot at this point because, again, I'm going back to it. You have a problem with drawing fans, and I think, again, this is not all on the fans. It's on freaking ownership every year. Doing the cost-cutting, penny-pinching garbage that they do, getting rid of fan favorites, not lowering ticket prices, not making an event, not endearing yourself to the fan base. The Lightning do it, the Bucks do it, the Rays don't. And that's the reason why they struggle in this region, period. That's it.
One other quick thing. I know you were talking about Aaron Rodgers and how he's a prima donna and
he is
getting people fired. Now, there was another guy that went from the Packers to the Jets back in 2008 that got Mangini fired. Mr. Brett Favre.
Well, Mr. Brett Favre. I mean, they
got two people fired. He got him, and he got the Minnesota coach fired too because after 2010 season when he had a rough, he ended up retiring.
Was that Childress? Was that who it was?
Childress fired.
Childress,
yeah. He got two of them fired because of his prima donna attitude and everything else. But, I mean, I really wanted the Jets to do well even 2008, and I want the Jets to win so bad too as well this year with Rodgers. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, they have talent on that team, but I don't know. I don't know where the coaching is coming from. it's all about Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't get his way, I think eventually it could blow up in their face, and it could start with Rodgers versus that locker room. That locker room, there's already signs of it in the offseason. I don't see how this works out. And then on top of it, it goes back to what Seneca Wallace said. It comes down to age. Not everybody is Tom Brady. Not everybody's going to be able to perform like Tom Brady at that age. And like Leo Haggerty said, Father Time is undefeated, because even Tom Brady, for as long as he played, eventually he was done. And I think there are some times where you watch Rodgers on film in that pocket, doesn't look like the same quarterback. And eventually either two things are going to happen. A, he's going to get hurt, or B, he's not going to get his way. There's going to be somebody on this team that's going to go against him, and that locker room is going to implode. Just my prediction.
I agree. Well, thanks again for everything. Be safe. I hope you're doing well. I'm praying for everyone less fortunate during this time. And good luck. Great show as always.
Yes,
and,
sir.
You have a great night, bud.
Great job right there, Dave. Thanks a lot for the call. Use that second call if you want to.
Yeah.
We'll read the comments, go out to it. We're supposed to have Turnbuckle Talk tonight. No Ralph Williams. We can still talk wrestling if you want to. Open phone line 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391 on a happy Hump Day edition of the Sports Web Live here on Instagram Live. Thanks a lot for watching over there. We appreciate that. And of course on YouTube, Twitter, again, Facebook stars are out there. If you like the content, a lot of stars, a lot of web heads out there giving Facebook stars. I appreciate that. Love that. And then also YouTube super chat. So we'll continue to read some of these comments, and maybe we'll get into some wrestling talk, but definitely want to talk to you about your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do you feel about that win on Sunday versus the Saints? How impressive was that running game? 277 freaking yards. Sean Tucker leading the way, Bucky Irving leading the way. I know there's a lot of fans out there saying they should move on from Rachaad White, could become a trade candidate. I'm not ready to get rid of him because, again, the NFL, is an injury league, and you've got to have multiple running backs when it comes down to it. Fields is good running back, too dumb to play quarterback, says Tom. Big-time Bears fan. Appreciate you. Surprised you're not talking about hot dogs and ketchup and all that. Good comment. Joe Sway here. Can I call in and talk about the Trop and where will the Rays play in 2025? Please call in, because that's the other topic of discussion. Where would you like to see the Rays play? Would you like to see them play in Clearwater, Tampa, Orlando, Miami? Really, Miami? I mean, the fan base is going to take a hit if they play in Orlando. It does nobody any good if they're going to Orlando for a couple years besides Orlando. Because if you're trying to sit here and convince me that fans are going to come from Tampa and St. Pete and go over to Orlando to Disney World to watch the Rays, I've got oceanfront property in Arizona for you. It does no good at all. None. I get it. 7,500 tickets there, seats there. You may be able to fill it up. Your owner's going to make some money, but that's going to be Orlando people. I don't think it's going to be anybody from the Tampa Bay area. Sorry, I don't. I'm an eternal optimist, but I'm also realistic when it comes down to this. So somehow, some way, the Rays, in my opinion, have to make this work when it comes down to either playing where the Yankees, their Florida State team plays in Tampa, or the Phillies in Clearwater. Let's go out to the phone lines. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the Evolution.
What's up, man? It's James from Nashville. How you doing?
What's going on, James? How you doing, buddy?
Not much, man. Listen, first of all, I want to say, as somebody who's been going to Rays games since he was 10 years old, seeing what happened broke my heart. I was at the first game. I was there for Wade Boggs' 3,000th hit. I was there when the Rays clinched the playoff spot in 08 for the first time. Like, I've been there for some memories, and I know a lot of people are dumping on the Trop and stuff like that, but to see what happened during the hurricane was just absolutely devastating. I feel like I grew up there, from 10 years old. So that's what I want to say first. But secondly, You got to remember this, Peter. The Rays for the last 3 years, they've been averaging attendance right around 16,000, roughly 14 to 16,000 on average.
Yeah.
So if you go to a stadium that only seats 11,000 people, I mean, you're not really losing a whole lot. Yeah, you're losing maybe 5,000 in revenue, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a loss. And here's the thing with what Mark Topkin wrote. This is kind of like the A's, except for it was a hurricane displacement situation, because I think if you're the Rays, you got to take every bit of this insurance money and put it toward that new stadium. I mean, there's no way that you can pass up.
Or
that
I got something
insurance
for you,
money
James.
opportunity.
Here's something that's to interrupt you. I'm sorry, and I know who this is. James Ludeman, thanks a lot for calling in. Stay on the line here. I got to interrupt you for a moment. You take that money and you put it towards your roster to build that roster up. Maybe you'll spend some money and get some people excited. That would be my thought process. But most likely what you're saying right now is going to come to fruition. They're going to spend it towards that new stadium. Everybody's looking towards that new stadium. But the problem is here, James, that it's going to take a couple years. So you're talking about possibly having the Rays in Orlando for 2 or 3 years. How does that help your fan base? It hurts your fan base. That's why I say you have to do it somehow locally. And again, I don't care if the Yankees train there or their Florida State League trains there. Keep them in friggin' Tampa, because I think you get a sellout every night. I do. I think Rays fans will come from St. Pete. I think Rays fans will come from Tampa because you have the population there, because you have the excitement of baseball. I do feel like you will get some sellouts, and that's what Stu wants.
I agree. Listen, I think in this situation, you have to look at what's feasible, right? So we're looking at 3 different locations, really. I don't think Orlando's in play as much as people want it to be. I don't think Orlando's the play because of the Tampa Bay area and what they've been through. I think you have to keep the Rays there. So really your 3 options are: you can play in Tampa, which I think is the most feasible option, to play over at Steinbrenner and get 11,000. Plus there was some talk of them adding even just some temporary seats to try to open it up a little bit. But so there's that. There's Port Charlotte potentially, but I think you kind of shut down Tampa in that area, although it's not really a bad drive to Port Charlotte from Tampa. It just makes it a little bit difficult. And then the other option I've heard is Al Lang, but I don't see how you go to Al Lang when there's only, I think, 8,000. I mean, you could open it up more. I mean, it's not like they've never played there before. They were there for spring training for many years before they moved to Port Charlotte. But I think if you're looking at it from your perspective, I think absolutely Tampa is going to be your best option. It's anybody's guess where they go. But here's the thing, they're going to have to figure this out sooner rather than later. And I know Stu Sternberg is probably, just being the scumbag that he is looking at this and going, well, this is free money for a stadium.
Of course.
And now we can just go, oh, look at all this money we got from the insurance. And now this isn't going to cost the city. Well, it is going to cost the city because they're going to have to do stuff to that area anyway. So, it's a very interesting situation. It's honestly devastating if you're a Rays fan.
Yeah.
But listen, I love your idea of putting the money back into the roster. I think that's a great idea, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to, first of all, how much they even get for the damages to the stadium, and then where can you play to not alienate people from being able to come to the games. I think Orlando is not a valid option. I think if Steinbrenner Field can happen, they could put some temporary seats in the outfield or wherever. I think that's a win for the Rays. And I think, honestly, that helps the city of Tampa. I know that they're working on this stadium deal, but if they come out next year and play in Tampa and they're selling out every single game, granted it's a smaller stadium, but I mean, the city could go, look at this. Look at how many people have come here. And that could give the city of Tampa a little bit of clarity and feedback as well. So I don't think the stadium deal is done and over until it's over, until they've laid bricks. So it's a terrible situation. It's going to be very interesting to see, but it's eerily similar to what the A's are dealing with, except for the A's brought it on themselves. They had all the chance in the world to get a new stadium. This one was more of a natural disaster leading to oh my gosh, what are we going to do in February when spring training starts?
Yeah, no, it's a crazy situation, and there are some memories there with Tropicana, and we joke around. I joke around about it all the time. It's not the best stadium, but there are some memories there. You're exactly right. World Series, some great games. We've seen them together there, so it is disappointing. Eventually, it was going to happen because of the weather situation. You had to know, but it's sad because I know there are a lot of Rays fans out there that love Tropicana Field, and now you're not going to be able to have your farewell, if you will. The last game is going to be from last year. There's no telling. It's most likely over at this point, and we're just going to wait. We're going to see what Stu does and what the Rays decide to do, and I think Major League Baseball should kind of step in here and say, you know what, this team, they should be in Tampa. This is what for the next couple of years, because again, it doesn't do anything for your fan base. I know you can make some concessions with the Yankees playing there, covering it up, making it a Rays fan. Rays fans will be there. They will come there and they will support this product. Anything else? What do you think about that Bucks win last Sunday versus the Saints, 51-27?
Oh, huge win. I mean, if you're sitting there in the second quarter, I saw a lot of people, Bucks fans included, saying, "Oh, I'm about to turn this off because this is just, this is an epic collapse." And it was. Let's not downplay, what the Saints were able to do. And listen, you got to understand, it's a big win. It's a huge win. Derek Carr not being in the game, Taysom Hill not being there, I think it definitely affected the Saints for sure.
Sure.
But listen, the Bucks did what they needed to do. And that's this is the frustrating part if you're a Bucks fan, is that you go out and you beat these teams you have no business beating, and then you lay an egg against Denver, and you really you choke the game away against Atlanta when you're in the driver's seat and have a chance to win.
Correct.
I mean, it's just it's frustrating to watch. But at the end of the day, these wins are important. Listen, you've got a stretch of games coming up that are, I think these next 4 games are just absolutely crazy. You got Atlanta again. Obviously, you got Baltimore sitting at 4-2 on Monday Night Football, which we know traditionally the Bucks on Monday night do not play well on prime time.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a huge win in the division. You're trying to keep pace with Atlanta, who everybody knew was going to win on Sunday. They played a loser Carolina team, which God only knows what's happening down there. But yeah, it's a big win. And I think, again, it just shows that Liam Cohen, you need to do whatever you can to keep this man here. And I know people are saying fire Todd Bowles. I don't agree with that. I think he's done a good job with what he's been able to do with this offense. But I think Liam Cohen gets probably a little bit more consideration. And you definitely don't want this guy to go somewhere. But listen, if a head coaching job comes and you're Liam Cohen, that's the end game. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens the rest of the way. I think the Bucks are really in control of their destiny at this point. If you can get some big wins over these next 4, I don't know if you can go 4-0. There's a chance if your offense is, doing well as they have been. But I mean, you can't give up 27 points in the second quarter and expect to win these games. I mean, yeah, they were able to make it happen, but you can't do that against other teams that you're going to be playing. You got the Chiefs, the 49ers on the schedule.
Sure.
I mean, there's teams that are in Super Bowl contention that are still on this schedule.
Baltimore coming up this Monday night. They're in Super Bowl contention, and
absolutely.
They're scoring 29.5 points a game. The Bucks are scoring 29.7. Going back to Cohen, you're exactly right. Like, he's making, I believe, $2.5 million. Todd Bowles is making $3 million. So there has been some talk there on Twitter. I know where that's coming from. But I wouldn't worry about that. I mean, I guess you could. Let's see the season play out. But it seems like the relationship with Baker Mayfield is really strong. And then on top of it, if you're Cohen, you've got a great situation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I get it. It's a head coaching job. But do you want to be like Dave Canales? And you look at the hot shot offensive coordinators, namely a Ben Johnson. He was supposed to go somewhere. He didn't go anywhere. He's waiting for the right situation. So maybe that right situation is out there, but I would just caution against it. I feel like, Cohen's got a great situation here. Let's see how it plays out. If they get far in the playoffs, and who knows, I think the sky's the limit for this team. They can definitely win a Super Bowl this year. As crazy as that sounds, if everything comes together as explosive as this offense is, and we know what Todd Bowles can do as a defensive mastermind when he gets guys back healthy. And that's a big time thing. You get Savasier Dennis back at the linebacking situation. That will definitely help. Jamel Dean out with an injury. You don't know how long that is. But we know what Todd Bowles and what he can do with the defense and what he's done in the past. This offense is as good, and I think they could be that much better with this dynamic running game. Look out. Look out, NFL. Look out, everybody in the NFC South. Because if the Bucs have that offense, I definitely feel like this defense with Todd Bowles running it will definitely do their part. Get after the quarterback, call some turnovers. But
one last question for you before I hang up.
Yes.
Is this not the best Buccaneer offense we've had in history? I mean, you look at traditionally the Bucs. When you think about the Bucs, like you think of the great defenses, right?
Yeah.
Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, John Lynch. But even the Super Bowl year, like Brad Johnson, Michael Pittman, like those guys, you had the A Train, like that's great, but they weren't lighting up the scoreboard.
Well,
they weren't lighting up the scoreboard like these guys are.
Right. This is
wild.
This is fast. This is going in. They're coming in and hitting it fast, like I thought they were going to do. And as my co-host said, Harry the Greek, he thought they were going to be 5-1 because Baker was familiar with this offense. The transition period from Dave Canales last year. By the way, at this time last year, they're only scoring 20 points a game. Now you're scoring 29.7. It's 30 points a game. It's at 10. Yeah, it's 10 points there. That's a big time difference. And the transition period from the offense last year to now this year, you see the difference. Nothing against Canales, but he's never been able to call plays in the league before. So it took a little bit of time. Now with Cohen, he's been able to call the plays. It's very similar to Canales' offense. There's comfortability, if you will, with Baker Mayfield working with Cohen before. So there's definitely a comfort there. You definitely got the weapons. You definitely have to say that if you're going to compare it to that Super Bowl team, I think it's the second Super Bowl team with Tom Brady and, of course, Evans and Godwin and Antonio Brown and Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette and Gronk. You could definitely make some comparisons. I think still that Super Bowl offense that first year, even though it's the defense that takes center stage in the postseason, pretty damn potent. But this offense, they keep on going and doing what they're doing at this point. You like to see a little bit more out of that tight end situation with the guy, Cade Otton, who still has some dropsies there. But if they continue on this track, you could definitely make the case here, James, that this could be the best offense in Bucs history. Absolutely. Definitely think you can make that conversation. Yes.
I agree. And listen, I don't know what'll happen on Monday. I know when you're a Bucs fan, it's a Bucs life. You live the highs and the lows, and somewhere in the middle you kind of settle.
Yeah.
But it's been 6 weeks, and it's been a fun 6 weeks. It's been Baker Mayfield just has absolutely I think outshined his contract. And I hope they lock this guy in for life. And Chris Godwin's another guy who I think you got to lock in for life. This dual wide receiver threat. And then you sign Marquez Callaway, which I think is very interesting too. Another guy, and Sterling Shepard's kind of come on. And last game, I know he had some personal foul issues, but that's a rivalry game, and that's a division game. So those games are always going to be a little bit heated. But man, and then you've got Tucker and Bucky, and where does Rashad White fit into this? I mean, it's crazy to have three running backs really on a starting roster. Sometimes you have two. Cleveland had two really good running backs a couple of years ago, but now you're looking at a three-headed monster here at the running back position potentially, and I think Cohen's the guy who can make that work. But it's going to be interesting Monday to see, who's going to kind of lead this team rushing and kind of what that looks like, especially with Tucker getting NFC Offensive Player of the Week. So a lot of good problems to have if you're the Bucs, and I think that's the first time we've been able to say that. I mean, obviously the Super Bowl was great, but if you look before that, it's the first time in a while that you can say, man, the Bucs have a lot of depth on offense, which is not something that you can say in Bucs history very often. So it's fun to watch.
It's a good point, and it's going to be a challenge against the Baltimore Ravens defense because they're only giving up 2.9 yards per a carry, and the Bucs are going to try to run the ball. But this may be a shootout on Monday night between both of these high level offenses, high explosive offenses with Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield. James, thanks a lot for the call. Use that second call if you want to, man. Appreciate you. All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Peter. Have a good show, and go Bucs.
Yeah, go Bucs. Absolutely. Go Bucs. Let's go! Go Bucs.
How about them Bucks, baby?
Go Bucs. There you go. It's exciting. It is exciting, Todd. I know you'll be excited about that challenge going against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and Mark Andrews. Oh, my. Definitely a challenge, if you will, for this Bucs defense. And we'll see if they can live up to the challenge, if they can rise to the challenge, if they can rise to the occasion on Monday Night Football. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. So Ron the Marine right there. Hello, Peter, Harry, Leo, and Seneca from Doha, Qatar. By the way, at Tampa, Florida. Appreciate the service, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to a guy that met me when I was driving Uber around the Bay Area, a big-time Commanders fan. Appreciate you tuning in, Mr. Daryl Parker, the evolution of sports talk television, the sports web, my man, Peter Blake. Appreciate you. Let's go out to Mr. Williams. Good job, Tampa Bay Buccaneers for life. 813-331. I believe that's Antoine Winfield Jr. 23, Tyke Smith, who absolutely played his ass off Sunday. And we talked about him, right? I mean, all over the place. Causing fumbles, intercepting the ball. And this guy's a rookie. So he's only going to get better from here, which is exciting. Again, if you're Todd Bowles.
It's exciting!
Yes. 23, 27, and 90. Okay, good stuff. And I think that is Zion McCollum. So it's Antoine Winfield Jr., Tyke Smith, Zion McCollum, who's played out of his mind, and Logan Hall at number 90. I think you throw 94 in there. Kalijah Cansey with the wrestling suplex of the running back there. Mr. Williams, my chicken wings, Harry. Daryl again. Hey, we are Penn State. Appreciate the comment.
Oh, yeah.
Our good friend, Mr. Dennis Phillips of Dennis Phillips Live, a big-time Penn State fan. We'll have to have him on here, one of the busiest men in the business right now when it comes to weather and predicting hurricanes. Hi, everyone. Any update on Jamel Dean? Terry, thanks a lot for tuning in. No update at this point, but you would think with the signing today that the Bucs made, because they brought back Keenan Isaac to the active roster, according to Greg Allman there of Fox Sports. The Bucs signed Keenan Isaac to the active roster from the practice squad. Of course, Isaac played well for the Bucs in preseason. And also with the Carolina Panthers, he could provide depth. Jamel Dean, watching Jamel Dean at points this year has been death, because he's been so inconsistent and then falling down and getting hurt. But he is important to this Bucs back end, that's for sure. And then also, according to Jeremy Fowler today, the Bucs signed former Saint and Bronco receiver Marquez Callaway. Callaway, 26, recorded 83 catches, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 45 games played across 4 seasons, 17 starts. Of course, in 2021, hurt the Bucs with 6 passes for 112 yards in that thrilling 9-0 victory by the Saints, which I remember to this day. Because, of course, it was the night before, I got the interview with Jake Paul, where he promised me a Rolex. The next day, I went to do the Bucs game on no sleep at all, because I couldn't sleep, because I kept on getting call after call, notification after notification that I went viral, even from the family. And then the very next day, we talked about that pitiful game, and that's when Marcos Guerrero called in to confirm that the Rolex is being sent. Yes, I still remember that game and cannot believe the Bucs had 0 points that night with Tom Brady and the season that he had that year. But the Saints, some reason, Sean Payton, Saints, and Dennis Allen, they always have the Bucs number, don't they? Well, maybe not Dennis Allen, but Sean Payton. Love the weather right now. How do you not love the sweater weather out there. 60s and 70s. Can we continue like this, Florida, forever? That would be nice. Terry, thanks a lot for the comment, as always.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Sean here. Good stuff from Sean. Thanks a lot for you chiming in, as always, talking about us on 2 relaxed games. But we beat the Lions with the banged-up backfield. Still won. Lions are considered one of the best teams in the league, and Tampa took it. When our team is healthy, we are an absolute force to be reckoned with. Go Bucks. Absolutely. Let's go! Listen, it's hard for teams to win on the road. And then you look at it, and I get it, it's a week 2 affair between the Lions and the Bucks. It's huge. But the Bucks come into that game without Antoine Winfield Jr. and Kalijah Kancey and are still able, Sean, to find a way. So you're exactly correct. Exactly correct. You beat the Lions on the road. And now do you think the Lions are better without Hutchinson? No way. So you start to feel good. The NFC could be wide open here. It really could. And the Bucks could be the team at the end of the day, at the end of the year, that you're looking at as the number 1 seed. I kid you not. They have that offense. They have the talent. I know what fans are saying, how Todd Bowles doesn't have this team ready and they're too inconsistent. They're going to figure this out. They're going to get better offensively. They're going to get better defensively because they're going to get healthier. Trust me, mark it down. We'll look at this tape together and laugh together and have a good chuckle. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Let's go out to the Marine himself. Losing the Atlanta game was inexcusable. Can't lose those games when you have them won. We gifted them that game to them. But listen, I understand what you're saying, but also we talked about the complications of that. Yes, you can't give up 500 yards of passing, but you also can't be having to compete against the refs. And they missed an egregious call when it comes down to that face mask. You got to make that freaking call. That is changing the complexion of the game. Refs are like children. They should be seen and not heard. I'm sorry. That's what my parents used to say. Kids should be seen and not heard. Same thing with refs in that situation. And how many times this year in big-time, prime-time games with these big-time teams have we seen refs interfere with it and change the complexion of the game? Am I going to put it all in that call? No, but it changes it. If you make the correct call, most likely the Bucs are 5-1. Right? They should have been. They should have won that game. Inexcusable? Strong. I get what you're saying, Marine. But there were some complications there. And by the way, once again, the Bucs were beat up in that game. Right? They won't be, hopefully, in a couple weeks. Knock on wood. They'll get an opportunity to get their revenge versus the Atlanta Falcons during that creamsicle game. And I believe they'll be ready. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Disappointing, but they'll have their chance. They'll get their opportunity. All right, let's go out to Sean here. You're right. We should have had the game, but did miss the 2 field goals blocked. Shouldn't have even went into overtime. Woulda, shoulda, coulda. I'm just saying that we can still hang with the best and need to be considered as such. Absolutely agree with you. Great comment. And for anybody saying that this Bucs team is trash, and you know who you are. You know who you are. Maybe you don't tune into this program, but I'm watching you on social media say what you're saying. And it's not just one person. It's a lot of people out there saying this team is trash and all this other shit. Sorry, I cursed. It's after 11. Sorry. Passionate. I've heard enough of this. I've heard it all year long when it comes to Atlanta Falcons and the you mouth breathers and you knuckle draggers about how great this team is. I'm going to tell you right now, at the end of the day, the Bucs will be the NFC South champions. Mark it down. Mark that tape down. I put my name on that. Put some respect on my name. Open phone line, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Why not the Bucs? Why not? What's holding them back? Baker Mayfield? Anybody's going to make that challenge? Anybody's going to make that talking point anymore? 17 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I don't think so. No. Can you make that anymore? That was the whole talking point in the offseason by national media, by even some local media. Oh, I don't know if Baker can do it again. Well, he's doing it so far. There is a long season. But with this offense and how explosive they are and all the weapons they have and how the defense is getting healthier at the right time, again, knock on wood. We'll see what happens with Mike Evans, because this Callaway move, this may be there may be some type of indication here that Evans may not be 100%. Didn't look 100% on Sunday. Was taken out of the game. Whether it was the defense by the Saints or he was hurt, there was a hamstring injury. He may not be playing on Monday night. This may be the reason why they signed a receiver in the first place. Just throwing it out there. Let's see. Christopher Cole. Hey, peeps, better late than never. Appreciate you, Christopher, as always, being a longtime webhead on this show. Rattler missed a lot of wide open wide receivers. That's what rookie quarterbacks do. That's why you confuse them. That's why you throw different looks at them, different blitzes at them to confuse them. The first half, he had success, but that's why you have two halves of a football game. You make those necessary adjustments from a defensive mindset, and that's what Todd Bowles did, and that defense executed to perfection, my friend. Let's go out to Dave here. The Bucs need to look into Crosby or Reddick to shore up this D with a good pass rush can help a suspect secondary. You know, the Reddick situation has definitely been talked about on this show. We can throw it out there, put it on the table. We were talking about it today on the JP Peterson show. You know, do you want to pay him the money that he's looking for? You know that he's looking for major money. Do you want to overpay him like over a Levante David? Do you want to sacrifice that money and not give it to Chris Godwin and instead give it to Reddick? And I understand that he can, you know, rush the passer and that's his thing. But he's also up there in age to a certain degree. And how many games has he played this year? 0. Has he practiced? Is he in shape? How long do you have to wait for him to get in shape? What do you have to give up? What do you have to pay? So there's circumstances there. Crosby's a no-brainer. Myles Garrett is a no-brainer. But what are you going to have to give up for them? Multiple first-round picks? If I'm the Raiders, I'm asking for multiple first-round picks. That's how good that kid is. That kid has a constant motor. He is absolutely going to cause havoc. And I know what the Bucs fans are looking for. I know what they're looking for. They're looking for the equivalent of what Simeon Rice was to this Bucs defensive line. Remember, they go out and get him in free agency, and he solidifies that line. He opens up things. Now you can't double and triple team Warren Sapp because you got single coverage on Simeon Rice. Or if you double and triple on Simeon Rice, you got Warren Sapp there in the backfield. You got Booger McFarland in the backfield. You got Greg Spires in the backfield. That's what Bucs fans are looking for. They're looking for that guy to take them over the top. I'm all about it, but what are you going to have to give up to get him? How many first-round picks? Myles Garrett is a game changer. He is a game changer right now. He's in a graveyard of an organization when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. They are absolutely a show, and not a good show. Starting with Deshaun Watson. Philadelphia's coach needs to be fired. We'll see. Why would you say that? Rashard White should be playing wide receiver. I think they will give him an opportunity to be a pass catching back. He's very good at that when it comes to space. They'll figure out something for him. I don't think he's done. But if these running backs continue to be productive, you're not going to go against the grain. You're going to go with the hot hand here, Christopher Cole, right? Dave says the Jets are getting everything they deserve. They sold their soul to Rodgers, and now we see Rodgers isn't Tom Brady. Right. Everybody isn't Tom Brady. You know, throw caution into the wind here, right? For every Tom Brady, there's a Russell Wilson. Because everybody thought, well, you get Russell Wilson, you get Sean Payton, you have this organization, he's going to be able to do what Tom Brady did, right? You get Matt Stafford. Stafford was successful with the Rams. He wins a Super Bowl there. which, by the way, I still think the Bucs, if they get to that blitz of Antonio Brown, Tristan Wirfs, they most likely beat the Rams. But that's neither here nor there. We're not going to go back to that because anytime you talk about the Bucs and Rams, it pisses me off. But Stafford wins a Super Bowl there for the Rams. So for every Stafford, you got an Aaron Rodgers situation. It didn't work out. Hasn't worked out. He's not what he was. He doesn't have enough pieces around him. The offensive line the first year, 4 plays in, he's done. Now, is it any better? Is his arm any better? Is he destroying the locker room? Who's coaching that team right now? It's Aaron Rodgers. Is that going to work out long term? I don't think so. But we'll see. They get Devontae Adams this week, and we'll see if that offense can turn it around. Rodgers calling out his teammates was selfish. It is. But, why is anybody surprised by that? Calling out Mike Williams. That's a no-no. Have you ever seen Tom Brady do that? Have you ever, I remember an incident with Peyton Manning calling out the kicker from the Pro Bowl, but didn't call him out in a game situation. That's what I can remember. I don't remember quarterbacks calling out players. Is that a thing these days? Because that's not a good look. That's not a good optic. That may be the reason why that locker room right now is in flux. That may be a reason why Robert Saleh is no longer the head coach of that team. Right? Because you know who's running it. It's Aaron Rodgers. He is the coach. He's the owner. He's the general manager. And anybody that's surprised by Rodgers and his horrible attitude is naive. Because he's always been like this. As talented of a quarterback that he is, he's definitely somewhat a cancer. And he's showing it. He's definitely showing it with this team. Especially calling out teammates. Evening, guys. Go Bucs. Looking forward to the Ravens game. We'll be there Monday night. All right. Good stuff, KR. We will definitely be covering that game. I don't think a pregame because I got to work. You got to work a job. So work till 6:30. Try to get off early. You don't know if we'll be able to do a pregame at the tailgate, but we'll have a postgame show live in collaboration with the JP Peterson show from Raymond James Stadium. Nice seeing you, Harry. Damn it, Jim. Thanks a lot for...
Damn it, Jim. What the hell is the matter with you?
Tuning in. And later, Harry, glad to see you're doing good. Jim says, great show, Peter Blake. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's go out to Dave. Tucker, Offensive Player of the Week. Absolutely. Tim says, I hope the Trips insurance is better than the Florida homeowners insurance. Hope so, too. Trops. I think you said the Trops. Yeah. We'll see. Christopher Cole, Winter Haven still has a Major League Baseball stadium. Winter Haven? Wow. Wow. Winter Haven. Palmer is still hurt. I'm reading the comment right now. Get at the Trop. Absolutely. Christopher Cole. Stu will pocket the money. Just wait. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Dave, look at New England. They had Daniels for years with Bill. Then Daniels went on to Denver and tanked. Yeah, absolutely. I can't stand the Dodgers. James says there's only a football team that has zero weakness right now, and that's the Texas Longhorns. Okay. Gerald says, is Palmer hurt? Yes, he is still hurt, Palmer. And then McMillan also, and possibly Evans. So good comment.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go out to Dave. I think a lot of Bucs fans are used to the past, but they should be grateful. This team has been relevant the past years, looks to be relevant for years to come. We have never had that. I agree. They are definitely relevant. They've been relevant. They made the right moves. The 8-9 record with Brady, you still get to the playoffs, but of course you get eliminated by none other than the Dallas Cowboys, who are, I don't know what the hell they are right now, right? You could be them. You could be the Browns. You could be the Panthers. You're exactly right. You got 2 Super Bowls. But I understand where the Bucs fans are coming from. They're trying to, they want to get that final piece. That piece may be on this team. It just may not be now. You may have to be patient, Bucs fans, like you were with Yaya Diaby, right? Came on, Chris Braswell. They drafted him in the 2nd round. JTS, just a guy at this point. Maybe it's Braswell. You definitely have to get, more pass rush, more consistent pass rush. Did a good job against the Saints with the 5 sacks and 10 quarterback hits. So good job there. Let's go out to Dave. So you're exactly right. Good comment there by Dave. Thank you. Yeah, Crosby's amazing. He is. He's not going to come cheap. It doesn't look like he's happy with the Raiders. I don't think there's a lot of people that are happy with the Raiders. Even Tom Brady taking over there as a minority ownership. What are you going to do to change that thing around? Well, the first thing you got to do, you got to pick a quarterback. You got to go with a quarterback. Gardner Minshew is just a guy. He's just a veteran guy. That's not the guy you're looking for. You got to draft a quarterback. You got to get somebody in there that can play that position. How important is a quarterback to a franchise? And then everything else, kind of falls in place. But the Raiders, they're a ways away now. They're getting rid of Devontae Adams. They're telling you most likely they're going through a rebuild. I like Pierce as a coach. I don't know how patient Mark Davis is going to be, right? So they got some problems there. They got to figure it out. And it looks like Crosby's not happy with that situation at all. He's not. So could there be a team like the Lions out there that go, and I know Bucs fans, but how much you're going to have to give up? How much you're going to have to pay? Jamie says Myles Garrett is better than any guy that's worth the first-round pick pass rusher in the next draft. Might be true. You still got to pay him, and you're still going to have to give up multiple first-round picks. Are the Browns willing to do that? Are they willing to unload him? It's a disaster right now when it comes to the Cleveland Browns, and they just get rid of Amari Cooper like he was the problem. I mean, everybody everybody knows who the problem is. It's the albatross of a contract that Deshaun Watson has gotten, and how awful he's been as a quarterback for that team. It's not been good. Last question of the night. I think we're going to skip turnbuckle talk. We usually talk wrestling on the show. We'll save it for next week for Ralph Williams. We want to talk a lot of Bucs tonight. We talked to Seneca Wallace and Leo Haggerty and Harry and Tampa Bay Ray. And, of course, as always, your phone calls. Last question here. Sean, killing it. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Always welcome here on The Evolution. Always call in if you like to. I always like your insight here. I think White would be a great tight end. He's decent at blocking. A stud at missed tackling after the catch is some modern Tony Gonzalez. That would be absolutely the best passing core ever. I think White is a little bit small to be a tight end, but I could see him being a third down back. He's good in pass protection. That's definitely what Tucker needs to get better at. And, of course, Bucky Irving. Thanks a lot to all the guests tonight. Of course, the legend himself, Mr. Leo Haggerty, former coach, scout, and now media member of Night Sports Productions and Amped Up Sports. Thanks to Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire on this show. We'll bring back the over-under very soon. Of course, former NFL quarterback Seneca Wallace, Tampa Bay, Ray Kennedy, Best of the Bay, and Ryan Neal, newest analyst of Amped Up Sports, talking college football. We got you covered all weekend here when it comes to the sports web. Definitely keep tuning in. As always, friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake. Give to Facebook stars. Go like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube. Give to YouTube Super Chats. The Sports Web Live, you can see it right there. And also Apple Podcast and Spotify, all your great locations for podcasts. As always, we end this show off with three things. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. We'll see you soon here on Monday Night Football when it becomes the Bucs, or when it is the Bucs versus the Ravens. We'll have your post-game show live in collaboration with the JP Peterson Show. Three things. You know them, you love them, you got to have them. So here it is. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake, your Rolex reporter. What time is it? It's my time. And for fans of the sports web and the Tampa Bay sports fan, especially you Bucs fans, it's your time. We'll see you next time on the evolution of Sports Talk Television. As always, go Bucs.